Yeah, there's this little subculture movement going on right now, known as what's called the Great Bitcoin Flippening. And if you read on Grok and these AIs, they're going to kind of tell you that it's just an obscure conspiracy theory that's never going to happen. But let me tell you right now, we're going to go into a live space, and I'm going to bring in some of the key players. I'm going to break this down for you and show you that it is going to happen. And it's not it's not an if, it's a when. And these are things like massive on-chain scaling, transaction throughput onto the original chain, sub-penny transactions, unified ledger and data payments, economic model and miner incentives. More as the miners get more incentive from the original protocol, they get more rewards, man. And that's the ultimate flippening here. Restoration of the original vision in the white paper, peer-to-peer electronic cash transactions, the new data layer of the internet where people actually are owning their own data again. Not again, but there's the way the internet was designed. Solving the 402 error code problem. Introducing real world payment adoption, supply and valuation dynamics, and anti-fragility and compliance. There's some crazy people out there, like none other than yours truly, Gavin Mehl, who've talked about this and promoted it. And yeah, I'm kind of one of those nutty, crazy people. Maybe I'm the one that kind of has been trademarking this little meme, whatever, running with it. It's not my idea. This is an old idea, but it's now coming forward into the consciousness, and it's going to happen. When it happens, it's going to happen overnight. I just don't know what day yet, but it's coming. I kind of have an idea because yours truly is coming at you from sometime in the future. A point in time that is not yet here. Let's go ahead and get started. Yeah, in addition, there's some additional announcements coming out, like with some new products. I mean, like ultimately apps, use case, devs are a major, catalyst of this entire flippening. Because the cooler the games are, the cooler the use cases are, the more adoption happens fast. Transactions go on chain. And so I'll be talking to some of those guys as well. This is going to be Great Bitcoin Flippening Show number 7, Great Bitcoin Flippening Series number 7. My name is Gavin Mehl, yours truly. I'll see you on the inside at the top. Yep. We got the Great Bitcoin Flippening Series coming right at you now. I've got my Grok page up, and I've got some I wanted to share. We'll go through some of this here before I get into it, but it's gonna be a lot of fun. There might be a revolution that gets started off of this. There will be, actually. Why not? Change the world, dude. Love that stuff. Here we go. Elements, dude. We're going to talk about the elements today. Ready? Space Jam. Great Bitcoin Flippening Series number 7. Oh yeah, what's up? It's a great day. I see Casey waving so she can hear me okay. This is going to be great. I got a couple things I want to bring up today as we're going to go through number 7 series on this as we're getting ready to flip the big giant one, the almighty in crypto. I call it BTC, the hodl cult and the hodl cult. And let me break down some of these elements about the actual flippening. Now, I searched Grok about this morning, and I asked, I said, search Grok a little bit and tell me about this Great Bitcoin Flippening and what's it all about. And it mentions me in there, mentions me as one of the people that I guess is the person that's kind of bringing this meme forward. And ultimately, it's the narrative is about here's some of the elements that you can expect to happen. These are things that are inevitable. One, this is a past tense, massive on-chain transaction scalability. Transaction throughput increased to a massive, level surpassing any other possible chain. And that's going to be the unlimited block sizes. Yeah, the enable like high volumes amount of transactions with micropayments and supply chain tracking, and AI data storage, massive AI data storage, enterprise applications on the base layer. No need for layer twos, Lightning Network. It's completely failed. It's a bust. And BTC's capped at 7 transactions, maybe 5 transactions a second. So this is like the first element, the massive on-chain scalability and transaction throughput. This is already past tense as Teranode has launched on mainnet. This is not in the news or mainstream anywhere. No one cares about it. No one cares about it. But they will care when the flippening happens. Trust me. They will care. Everybody's going to say, oh, I knew that was going to happen. I knew that would happen. Everyone's going to say that, of course that was going to happen. That was obvious. I mean, everybody knew that was going to happen. You know, this will be like the news of the day at that time, and everyone will champion that they knew about it and they were supporting it. They told people about it. Of course, it was going to happen. It was going to flip. You know, it was an obvious thing, but I'm telling you that no one's talking about it yet. No people talk about it, and people who only talk about it hear about it here. So that's the first thing: the massive scalability and through Teranode and the transaction throughput, sub penny, near zero fees. Like when the fees towards the bandwidth of costs, are so low, enabling Sats and like real micropayments, the data like heavy applications and global applications, AI model plays and stable coins. This is a major talking point right now, inside of the Congress with this Genius Act and the Clarity Act that's happening, and with BTC and spiking fees up. Whenever transactions and demand goes up, the fees just go up. It's not sustainable. Unified ledger and data payments. So having everything on one base layer and ledger is exactly how the internet is designed. We've got right now, when the old days of the internet happened, when it first launched, you guys remember there was what was called intranet, and there were these other protocols before the World Wide Web existed that were competitions, and there were other types of internets that were going to be used. But everybody agreed we're going to use the World Wide Web. That's just how it's going to go down. And that became the standard. If everybody was on different internets, then we would never, it had to eventually go into what's called a unified ledger. And that's where we're going with this. Same exact place. It's the same trend. The guy who created all this stuff, he saw way into the future on this 100 years in advance, 50 years in advance. He saw this, how it would play out in the internet, because he was around in the early days, of building the internet and how it was built. And then it took a lot of like long-term game theory planning out ahead of time. That's what the beautiful thing about what Satoshi had given us. He did so much planning on this ahead of time that, it's just nobody seems to care yet. But having that unified base layer on the internet and the payments all on chain secures the ownership records, disclosures, training, and with the absolute boom on AI right now, there's a massive, huge revolution happening between connecting blockchain to AI. The AI blockchain revolution is a book by Ruth Eastman. I recommend it highly. It's something that is not yet. That's not yet talked. I'm not sure how many copies are sold, but it's so forward thinking. She is such a great author that she just was able to put together this concept, blending the AI with the blockchain together, and sees she has enough knowledge about the Bitcoin. She has a huge amount of knowledge about the Bitcoin protocol, as well as AI in development, and then also as a good writer to be able to put this new concept together and have a regular person like me begin to understand something that, let me give you an example. Claude last year came out with this web protocol for the AI, large language model, and it was basically it's called CCHP, I think. And so, anyways, they came up with this protocol, and it's designed to allow the AIs to access your files on your desktop and go into your private information, like on a bank account. Nobody wants that. Nobody's going to do that. It's too intrusive. Nobody wants to give all that up to the AIs. They're going to go in there and steal your money. So it's not like operational. There's no way to to tame it yet. So that is an example that when, like my buddy Chris, who's a large language model developer, he's building an AI. If he could figure it out and how to build the blockchain, integrate it with the AI to where then this new Claude model could be all logged on chain. Now we will have when there is fraud, because the fraud is going to happen, it's still going to happen, then at least we'll have proof of the fraud. All right, so that's the key. We're not going to stop fraud, permanently. You'll never be able to terminally stop fraud and lies, but at least we'll have proof, and we'll have a transaction. We'll have accountability on the fraud, and we'll see exactly who did it and where it went, and so then we can take it and go to court and do something about it. So that's like the major intersection. So economic model and miner incentives with the transactions coming on chain, with the Teranode, Teranode release and the massive scaling coming out with the base layer. I mean, it's called Bitcoin SV. I mean, that's what the ticker is under. And ultimately the high transaction throughput begins to create more demand and more reward through the rewards. Now, if you are what would be called like a doubting Thomas, I get, or you have no ability to see into the future at all, and you're only about woe is me, negative, where's my Lambo? Where did my Lambo go? Why didn't I get my Lambo yet? Then, dude, I have well, my response is, you're still in a pretty damn good position. I actually, your Lambo just hasn't shown up yet. But ultimately, if you could see a little bit into the future, because today it is dark clouds and it is miserable, and the freaking rain is coming down. I mean, it's actually nice out here where I'm at, but I'm saying that it's actually the rain's coming down, and it's a miserable day in Bitcoin for everybody in this community, I would say, because it doesn't look good. It looks terrible. And I think I met with John Calhoun on Friday, and we talked about some of the ideas that he had, and he's like, man, there's just not a lot of transactions on chain. I said, wow, and so he has ideas on how to increase that. Maybe we'll talk about it today. But and so it doesn't look good. And it didn't look good in 1776 when the founding fathers signed the Declaration of Independence. It looked bad. It looked like they were all going to die. It looked like their families were going to be all killed and farms burned to the stake. It did not look good, man, at all. It looked terrible. But they had to do it, and we got our freedom because of it. We got our rights because of it. We thank Thomas Jefferson and the founders for that. But I mean, that's where we're at now. It doesn't look good, but I don't care if it doesn't look good, because I can see into the future, just a little bit into the future, a little bit down the road. And that's where this economic model and miner incentives come in, because as the transactions start flowing on chain, the miners are going to get more rewards. They're going to be more profitability, and we're going to have a massive demand increase. Now there is the original vision's being restored. There's also something called the Genesis upgrade was in 2021, and now there's this final upgrade that Connor Murray had worked on, restoring the final version of the protocol. And that is like the perfect alignment with SPV and the white paper and how it's all aligned. Now it's cemented in stone to where it can never change. And it's all just aligned perfectly with the white paper. That's all. I think that's the final piece to that is, I think in April or May it's coming out. The final version of the restoring the protocol. But the other thing is the law stuff that's pretty fascinating, because you have the Clarity Act and the Genius Act. Now the Genius Act's already passed. That's going to be the stable coins. That's already done. That's the law. The stable coins are going to be the new payment rails for the United States. Money stablecoin is the one to watch right now. They're compliant with the Clarity Act, and I think they're going to be huge. What they're doing is MoneyPay is bringing in all these. They're allowing for all the other chains, and this is something that I talked to Lamin about the other day. It's like with Daniel, it's like we got to have a way to accept all the other stable coins as payment, so that they can come on to money, which is built on ERC20 and also on Bitcoin SV. And then they accept Tether, but Tether then converts. It converts from whatever chain it's on, it in MoneyPay. And so the parties, a lot of people pay crypto and Tether right now, but all these other chains. It has to be unified the cheapest way possible without gas. This is how it's done, through MoneyPay. That's a new thing that's happening. It's already launched. That's it's going to start becoming adoption soon. But the other act is the Clarity Act. Now, I did watch Aaron Day's show last night. He was on a podcast, and it had a lot of views. The guy had like 1.2 million subscribers on his YouTube channel, and he had like 35,000 views on it overnight. It was pretty badass. So it helped give me a lot of perspective on what Aaron Day was thinking about why he's objecting to the Clarity Act entirely unilaterally. And I actually have to, I'm really grateful for his perspective because, sometimes I get lost in the minutia on these regulation and the laws and stuff. And I'm just like, the statutes, codes, but I'm a non-lawyer, I look at it and I read it and I'm like, does this make any sense? There's benefit in reading the way they've revised the Clarity Act now through the Ag Division. I could see that they're trying to define what's called a peer-to-peer system as a digital commodity. There is benefit to that. I support, but in Aaron Day's position, and I kind of agree with him, he's like we don't need this right now. It only causes more problems. We got to go back and reverse the Bank Secrecy Act in 1970 with all the KYC and AML laws. There's such a mess. Even if they bring this in, it's only going to affect the little guys anyways, not the big guys. And it's the lobbying efforts by Coinbase and these banks that are bringing the act anyways. And so I kind of agree with him on that maybe we don't even need the regulation and just stop it right there. I know President Trump has talked about how he thinks that we should have the Clarity Act should be. He wouldn't get behind it if they didn't push it forward now. And so good. I think maybe they should just stop it. I would not lose any sleep if they just ended the whole thing and didn't do anything at all right now and waited. Because they're trying to rush through that regulation and legislation, and it'd be better to wait, until it was 100% right. I did like the way they had defined the mature blockchain in the original legislation, because I think it did, correlate well with the original vision of Bitcoin. But that's been taken out now. So now it does restore digital commodity, defines the digital commodity as peer to peer. But there's these nuances about meme coins, and I just find I do have an objection to that, because you're telling me that the meme coin, like a Hawk Tuah coin, is not a security. That's just not true. That's not positive law. That cannot be the law. So I would object to that. That would be challenged, and that's just a bad, poorly written legislation. To have the way they have it right now, I would agree with Aaron Day on that. So those are some of the visions. The institutional real-world potential adoption right now as well. I know stuff that Brian Doherty's doing with the Smart Ledger. Those guys are really knocking it out of the park right now. On what they're doing, and of course Babage. They're killing it on building this forward with the. And let me just recap on I talked to Mike Middleton yesterday on the phone, and we were talking about. He didn't even know about BRC 100 yet. Now BRC 100 is not really anything exciting, but it's to talk about with the name. There has to be branding behind it. And John Calhoun and I talked on Friday about that. There's going to be branding and marketing and all that to make it sexy, but it's a big deal because CentB, Money Button, Rilasia, other wallet providers have all gone down and are closing down and out of business. And so they're on these different standards. And by having different standards, it causes difficulty for the regular user to identify their coins in the wallet because they're not on a universal standard. And so what BRC 100 has done is that it solved that problem. No one really knew the problem existed, or no one worked on the problem. But what it did is it solved that problem to where now there's a universal wallet protocol standard called BRC 100 that all these wallets can be built on, to where you don't have to pick one wallet. Whatever wallet you want to use, it just is on that standard so that it's interoperable, vendor neutral. That's a huge breakthrough. That's a massive breakthrough. And then, of course, simplified payment verification, SPV. Is another thing I don't really understand, but it's basically it's kind of like call it a BlackBerry moment. And Satoshi had mentioned this the other day. BlackBerry moment is a legacy tech, while BSV, Bitcoin SV, the original protocol, it scales for modern needs. BTC, it's having its BlackBerry moment right now. It really is. The other thing is about supply and value dynamics. So one sat on Bitcoin SV is worth more on-chain dollars than BTC due to movement and cost. This is like another potential claim. Just one potential sat because of all the data that it can hold and what it could do. An example is one sat ordinals. So predictions on it. A lot of people are saying, I'm just reading this ideas like predictions about it hitting $5,000 as the utility demand drives. Yeah, the flippening is more than $5,000. It's whatever the market cap is on BTC. So that's the flippening. That's the ultimately where it's going. $5,000. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm not really tracking the prices. I'm talking about the flippening, the actual flippening of the whole thing. You know, I don't see I don't see it as a gradual thing. I don't see it being gradual personally. I think it's going to be an overnight thing when it happens. So, but I already talked about the compliance, and and names me as one of the perpetrators of this great Bitcoin flipping meme. So, all right, Casey, we got John Calhoun on today, everybody. So, what are you up to? Good morning.
A good afternoon here, Eastern time zone. I know it's probably morning for you guys. Here.
Sorry, go ahead. Yep.
All
Good
good.
morning.
Okay.
Yeah, or good afternoon to you, John.
But yeah, really excited about the launch. Got some pretty good. Feel like we're making some pretty good noise and got some pretty good feedback already. So just enjoying our Sunday. We got the NFL. We got the football games about to get started. So love joining your spaces and seeing what you guys got going on here. So
So the
happy Sunday.
Teragun is like doing it's putting a massive amount of transactions on chain, and it's basically you kind of demoed it to me the other day. And that's what you're talking about, right?
Yes.
Right. So the goal is that it's a fun game, and the leaders will be on the leaderboard by putting more transactions on chain, right?
Yeah, I think there's a few use cases for it. I think first of all, like when you go to conferences and you're pitching your products or you're pitching your things that BSV can do to like business associates. I think it's a really cool quick demo that you can pull up on your phone and compare it to BTC, right, where it's five transactions per second or something like that for the entire chain. You have to wait for confirmations, right, to send the same UTXO over again, right, where you can pull up, Teragun.com, and you can actually send off 2,500 transactions at around 30 to 40 transactions per second. Ultra cheap. I think we have it priced at like 1/100th of a penny for one. And I think that's something cool that we'll be able to do in the future. And secondly, if you look at what's on chain.com right now, I think the BSV chain itself. I think we're not even at one transaction per second right now, right? And I think we talk about flippening BTC, right? I think the price of that, like maybe that does happen overnight, but the first things we got to do first is we need to get more transactions per second compared to BTC, right? Like their blocks are full, there's activity on that chain, right? Like we really need to get our numbers up, and I think this is a fun game where the entire community can log on at once, and we can try to break. Maybe we can break the record for most transactions in a block or most transactions in a day. Maybe we can make some noise, right? Like I know Chain Inspect, that Twitter account, keeps track of I think right now BSV is ranked like 13th or 14th or 20th or something like that on that site. Like maybe we could get the top 10, top 5, and show other chains, other people that are building, like, hey, this is possible here. Zero confirmation is possible, and go from there. And this is like our 5th or 6th app now, and we're really starting to hinder in on like what's what areas need to be focused on, like, and stuff like that. So it's just trying to get a little better one after another. But it's been fun so far, and it was really nice talking to you on Friday. I really appreciate you making the time for me. It's always good to like get your feedback and stuff. So
Thank you, John. It was my pleasure to talk with you as well. And if you guys like this space, repost it. Just hit the repost button on X, and we can start getting this out there. If we could, if you like
excellent.
what you're hearing from John. Now, so John, Teragun. In order to use the Teragun, I go to the website, right, and then I go and I already have the metanet. Now, did we talked on Friday? Did you talk? Did you look at it on a Windows yet?
I have not got a chance to look out
All right,
for
so it's
Windows,
not
but We were able to get it working on a Mac,
For sure, Mac.
on
Okay.
phones. But yeah, Windows, I'm not
Oh,
really
maybe on
sure.
phones.
Yep, I got it working on the iOS phones. I think it works on Android phones as well. I had someone test that, but yeah, Windows. I'm not really sure what's going on there. If um, yeah,
Okay.
I'm honestly I'm not sure.
No
I don't know if
problem.
it's the wallet itself or.
Teragun. Can I just go to the app on my phone, you think, for metanet?
I can send you a
Well, I'm just thinking
preview
like it
link.
would be cool if if I just go to the MetaNet app on my phone, which I already have, and then I could just go there. I mean, if that's possible, that would be the easiest way for me. That way,
Yep, I'll DM you a. We
Meta.
have like a early access link that I've been giving out to people. I think
Okay.
I'll DM it to you right now.
Yeah. So
Just sent that over.
nice. Did you want to run well, let's see. I'd like to see if anybody could try it out. I know it's not on Windows yet, so I'm curious to try it out and see what people's feedback is on it. If there's any.
Maybe Casey's a good
Casey, do you have Mac?
suspect for that.
Yeah, there we go. Casey, you're muted.
Who in the audience? I'll give it out to anyone in the audience.
Yeah, if anybody
Whoever's
wants to
first.
jump up, who's Woo BSV? I know I've seen his stuff before, and maybe I thought he was doing something really cool. I don't remember what was that, but if you want to come up, buddy, I don't know if you're able to. He's not following me, so I'm concerned that if he's not following me, then there might be something up. Sometimes I get a lot of people who don't follow me, and then they come up and troll me. So, all right. So let me, Casey, you're off now. Let me add Casey back in. She was having audio connections. Casey, invite to co-host.
I
Okay, you
DM'd
should be
her the
back
link
up,
as well.
Casey.
So
What's that, John?
I just DM'd her the link as well. So if she
Nice.
wants to.
All right, Casey. Okay, your audio is off. That's fine. We'll come back to you, I guess, and try it again. Unmute. Nope. No sound. So Teragun.
Yes, thoughts on the name? 1 out of 10.
I like the name a lot. The name is great,
Thank
dude.
you. Thank you.
Teragun. Freaking
Yeah,
cool.
a little bit of a teranode, right, and then a mix with gun. I know there was like some stuff in the past. I think someone mentioned like pay pistol before. I think there was one other one. I forget the name of it, but um, it's cool because we don't need to run a full node to do this anymore. Because we can just, like do beefs and keep track of only the transactions we care about and stuff. It's really the infrastructure is really cheap to run. Really proud that you know, we actually built middleware for auth and payment that's Cloudflare worker compatible, which is really big because it's super cheap. Like Cloudflare and BSV are like a match made in heaven. Um, I think that's going to be a big thing in the future. Like those two things together are just amazing.
Cloudflare.
Yeah, if I had a gajillion dollars, I would invest in Cloudflare.
Is that a public company right now or
I,
what?
I believe it is, yes. And why it's so big, right? Is like, well, first of all, if you build on Cloudflare, like a lot of like the first like so much traffic is free. But obviously after that, it costs money. But just like BSV, right? Like you really only pay for the CPU that you like need, right? Like usually when you build a website or an API, you gotta buy a whole server, or you gotta buy you gotta actually have actual hardware running somewhere. And then if you want to scale it for more users, you gotta double it, or get 3 computers or something, right? Well, when you build it with Cloudflare, they really handle all the infrastructure for you, so it's super cheap. Like I really see them two being a great fit in the future.
Hmm. Who's behind Cloudflare? Or
I'm not sure. I think they've been a public company for a while now, though.
no? Looks
Um,
like I'm on their website now. It looks like a lot of people here, their pictures, but I wonder who they are. Yeah, interesting. So you're saying they are the backbone, like what is the integration again?
So I mean, I use a lot of the open source tools from the BSV GitHub, the BSV Association GitHub. I'm not sure whose tools they are. I think they're just open source tools, but those run on Cloudflare infrastructure, so like it scales horizontally.
Hmm.
Um, the database, the middleware, the API, the front end, it's all on Cloudflare.
Hmm.
So like if someone wants to use my site and with the Cloudflare infrastructure, it costs 4/100ths of a penny for them to do something. I can charge my user 8/100ths of a penny, right?
Hmm.
So that's why I'm saying it's like a match made in heaven. Like you can't really do that with Stripe or BTC or like even Solana, right? Like to be able to charge for someone for that small of. So like I think Ty Everett says micropayments increases the resolution of capitalism. Like that's the kind of stuff he's talking about, like being able to charge someone for like two network requests that cost me 4/100ths of a penny on Cloudflare.
Casey, I'm adding you back up. Uh, if anybody has like regular people that I recognize, feel free to if I'm already following you, you can just join in as a speaker automatically. And if not, you want to request up, Casey will add you if you're not a troll, so then she'll add you up. Casey, are you able to chat now?
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
I had turned all my microphones off, so my phone's not like listening to me, and I had forgot to turn X back on. So
No problem.
apologies, but yeah, thank you for bringing Woo BSV up.
Is he up?
Please. No, I mean not up to the stage yet, but we're just bringing it up because that is a plugin for WordPress, and as far as
Oh, is that the
generating
one you told me
transactions.
about?
Yeah, so I would love if they could come up and chat, when it comes to generating transactions, like bringing
WordPress.
Web 2 into Web 3, like any WordPress site can be monetized with Bitcoin. That's what I was building with Rohan over in India, with my WordPress site with Time Chain Labs, because he had these modular plugins for WordPress that allowed micropayments and checkout, for engagements and all that stuff to be added into just a generic WordPress site. So if you're able to come up and, chat about what you've built, we are very eager to hear more about that plugin.
That's the one you
I
were
know.
really excited about. You told me about that there's WordPress, right? I
Yeah, because
need to learn more about that. So,
I lost my whole website just waiting for that damn plugin to be built. I
mhm.
was like, so yeah, I would love to, do a space specifically on that at some point. If you can't come up today, my dear, just throwing that out there. So thanks for joining us either way, and good to see everyone else. Happy Sunday.
Yeah, I saw he was posting about the Clarity Act here, and I did comment on the Clarity Act, which I think is well, it's probably going to pass as it is, like it or not. It's probably going to pass now as it is. So, in Aaron Day's video, he did a show on it last night, and it was really good. I mean, he's completely objecting to it. He's saying we got way too much regulation, and I kind of agree. We don't need these regulators to do this right now. So if I had any say on controlling that, I would say hold back. Like let's pause. Let's pause. Let's not let lobbyists rush through a bill. Let's take time. Give it 6 months, and let's look at it again. No rush. Let's do it. Let's take our time on it. It's not going to help us overnight anyway, so we can just take time. That would be my point. Like, let's look at it later. Make sure that it's not screwing everybody over, because it's not that easy to understand. You got to read all this stuff at 200 pages through legislation, and it's not just something you just run through a bot and say, oh, here it is. No, it takes real analysis. I mean, because these lobbyists will put things in there. Last time they had in there that there was no stablecoin yield allowed for consumers, only banks. That's why Armstrong was objecting. So that's out now. At least that's out. And I didn't even see it when I read it the first time because it was rushed through so fast. So that's out. But now they're defining a peer to peer, potentially a peer to peer ledger is a digital commodity. But then they also have this meme coin exception in there, which is confusing. So we'll see. That was something that I saw him posting about. Yeah. So what's up? We got John. John, and now Casey, are you able to go to the Teragun website right now and use it? See if you can try using it.
Let me go work on that. I hadn't tried it yet. I'll do it now.
It's on a Mac or a phone. So if you want to try to see, the reason I want you to do that if you do it live is so you could give John some feedback on this and see what you like about it or what you don't like about it.
Okay, yeah, I'm on a Mac. Let me go to it now.
And you already have metanet wallet,
Mm-hmm.
BRC 100 wallet. So now he sent you a link in a DM, I think.
Oh, that's what I enter through. Okay. I don't see it, John.
I DM'd you from this account.
Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. You want to walk me through what I'm looking at here? Connect my wallet. So look for and connect to any device on my local network. Allow. Get wallet. Install metanet client to continue. So I guess if I already have it, how does it open it? I gotta open it first and then go back to the link. So my metanet client isn't running. Let me try to make sure that's open. Finder, metanet client. Metanet desktop. There we go. Okay, that is now open. So if I go back to this and hit connecting, get wallet,
Here we go.
it took me back
I sent
to
a bunch of transactions on it the other day, John. I looks like I sent a shitload of sats somewhere. I don't know where I sent them to. So 54,000 sats over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, that Windows bug. I don't know. But I probably owe you about 3 pennies. So next time I see you.
So my MetaNet desktop is open, and in the top right corner, the connecting is just spinning. And when I go to get wallet, it's asking me to install the MetaNet client, which I already have. And so I don't know.
There might be a button on there that says already installed the refresh or something.
I don't see that anywhere.
Can maybe reload the page. If that
Okay.
doesn't work, I'm just gonna throw my laptop out the window here. So no, I'm just kidding.
I'm sorry.
No. It's my fault. It's not you. So
Yeah, it's not letting me move forward, even though my MetaNet desktop is open. Is there anything else I need to do?
I have the
Are you
MetaNet.
using Brave by chance?
I'm
I went to
using Calm.
I have the MetaNet desktop open, and I've got
Yeah.
Teragun inside of there as an app.
I'm looking in my apps. View app catalog.
Mine says Teragun right here. Now, when I go to the app Teragun, John,
Yeah.
all I see is recent transactions.
Yeah. So, like usually, like unfortunately, like you don't see the apps within the MetaNet app itself. You use the apps in the web browser, but you can see like information about like the transaction you sent within the app from within the wallet.
Okay. Damn, this has got we're doing good, but we got a long ways to go before this is user friendly for sure.
Yeah, it's
all good.
It's crazy, honestly. It's
Teragun.com
honestly crazy.
is going to be launching soon. It says so on the website, but I know you sent me a message.
Yeah, it's an early access link, but it's
you will be his fee. Yeah, so it's all good. We'll keep let's keep the space going while we're
Oh,
working
wait,
through.
mine finally connected when I used your link.
That's what
When
he
I used
okay. You
your
had to use
early
the link,
access
yeah.
link.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. Maybe that's what it was.
It finally connected, so I'm in. So now it has my be the broadcast at the top and then profile, recovery, log out. What is the goal here? What do I go do?
Yeah, so at the bottom there's a gun and there's a dial on the far bottom left. It has the ability to shoot 100 transactions, 500 transactions, or 1,000 or 2,500. Um, and the goal is, this would be used for like a demo if you're maybe trying to like pitch something you're building on BSV or why you should build BSV, or maybe we have like a Friday, Saturday night like space where we all try to log on and break the record together, right? What's the record? Like most transactions in a block, or most transactions in a day, something like that. But I think right now, um, yeah, like however many you want to send, if you wanted to try it, right? I think it's a penny. It's like less than a penny to try 100 transactions, and when you do it, you'll see the rocket and the transaction counter go up. There's a leaderboard page, so we're thinking about maybe in the future we'll have contests and give out NFTs maybe um, to people that like are on the leaderboard, stuff like that. So
I don't know if you can hear my firing, but
I
I'll
can.
shoot
I
them off.
can. That sounds like it works. Nice.
Nice. Yeah, it's working. That's fun. Cool.
Hey, let me ask you a question, John. I see this post here from Peter McCormick that you used on your video, your marketing video. It says, "With all the attention, Terra Luna, please spare a thought for our BSV friends printing a new low of 0.0001.846, down an impressive 96% from its ATH." So
Yeah, I love it. Right, like I when it comes to price, I think the beatings are going to continue until morale improves.
yeah,
Um, I think like Sisyphus, we just need to push the boulder up the hill. Like we're already eating ramen, so just like get used to the taste and just keep
it
pushing.
can't get any worse. So that's good,
Exactly,
right?
exactly. Just keep right. Baked beans, we can get some corn's still cheap. I know inflation's tough, but
It really can't get any worse, right? I mean,
yeah,
it's laughable, but it's true, right? I mean, Peter McCormick and them, they say, well, it's. I mean, they've given up on like low life forms like us, that we are dead to them. So
yeah. You got it's got to be over before it's so back. And like if you
yeah.
guys like a guy have like a local butcher where you live, right? Like sometimes you can ask for like fat shavings. Like they might even just like give it to you for free, right?
Mhm.
So just a little hint or some tricks. But
Here's another one. Charlie, the next post you made was Charlie Sheem S. Shrem. In surprise, in surprised, in surprise. I don't know what the hell. That's not even a word. It's even listed anywhere. It's a scam. It's obviously a scam and a scammer. Oh, okay. Maybe it was a scam, he said. And he says, delist it from all exchanges and let it die. Yay. That was his post back in 2019. So you're just highlighting
yeah,
this as some of the.
yeah, I think it's a good um like we're like they've succeeded, right? Like I think the chart's down like 89% since he posted that, but at the same time, like we're still here, we're still building, and some of the utility like I see and see it's like the best it's ever been, right? But um I think it's just like it's a reminder like, hey, we're still building, but at the same time it's the honest reality, like
No, no.
these are the
Here,
guys that are
let
winning,
me ask. Maybe I'd like to hear comments if anybody wants to come up and explain Vitalik's position here. You're saying that in his mind, Bitcoin is a scam. He says. Well, oh, he's saying Bitcoin SV, but that's just Bitcoin. So how is it a scam in his position? What exists? What is the scam?
I, I think his point of view is that it's like a 1 or 2 person controlled ecosystem. Like the miners are very centralized, and I think that was their point of view. And regardless of whether he's right or not, like BSB is a system where like all the rules are set in stone, and like we all play by those rules. So like miners can come and go as they please. Is it true that like one man, maybe, like it might be true. I don't know. It's none of my business, but like I don't know.
He's saying it's an obvious scam, and I don't think it was about the miners. Maybe, but was that his position? He's saying it's a obvious scam. Bitcoin. I'm just confused as to where am I missing the? How am I not seeing the scam?
It could have to do with like maybe he thought like it's like a money extraction due to like the whole Craig Wright and Satoshi thing, maybe.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. I guess I'm not seeing that either. But maybe I'm
Yeah, I don't think it's a
maybe I'm
scam.
just
It's
so
just
blind and deaf. I can't see past it. I'm like totally listening and I'm willing to hear. I actually like hearing counter. Tell me, like if there's a scam, I don't want to be involved in a fraud. I want to know about it. So, but if you're going to point names and name call people, that's just fun and having fun and whatever. So that's different. Yeah. And I think that's what it comes down to. Is just a name calling is what the scam was, right?
yeah, and it helps like the first impression, like
Calling it fake
perspective.
Toshi.
Exactly.
That's the scam, I guess, right? But that has nothing to do with the protocol. I'm talking about like learning how the protocol is a scam. That's kind of what I'm wondering. But
Yeah, protocol's the truth.
yeah, exactly. Here's this is another one you got. Oh, Max Kaiser, dude. This is the guy, man. This guy is the freaking ultimate troll, dude. Says Max Kaiser smells like Mount Gox getting Bitcoin SV on to trade off our exchanges looking increasingly problematic. It's never had the hash power to survive the numbers. It looks very increasingly bad. This is entirely predictable. And then he laughs. So, you don't want to know what's really, really sad? Not sad. This is, dude. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna share some information with you guys. This is on the record. I'm gonna tell it to you guys. I don't care.
Hell
So,
yeah.
have you guys been following what happened in El Salvador? They did all this restoration of law and order down there, and they have this great civilization, and they got this guy Bukele. He's like the president of El Salvador. Have you heard about that? A little bit.
Maybe I'm familiar with him like setting up like Bitcoin miners, volcanoes, and stuff like that.
Now this guy down there, he's running a law and order, and he's very by the book, and he's very straight up. He's running a like trying to run a civilized nation and actually clean the place up. And there's less crime, maybe no crime. They're doing really good. And so he has a lot of trust, and his favorite, his trusted confidant, Max Kaiser, with the orange hat and the orange shoes and the orange shirt, and he walks down there with that other lady. And that's his trusted advisor. Like he trusts him to advise him that BTC is Bitcoin. It's never going to go down. That's his trusted advisor.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that's bad. Now, this is not a person I would lie to personally. I wouldn't feel comfortable lying to that person. I wouldn't feel comfortable lying anyways, but it's definitely not the person I would want to be lying to myself. Now, I don't know how Max goes on and lies, bold-faced lies to him about BTC.
Yeah.
Okay, because that is like dangerous, man. That's not good. Can you imagine when the flippening happens and that guy says, Max, you told me this was Bitcoin, this thing. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be in that position.
I agree.
I wouldn't want to be in that position with somebody with that much power. Max don't care, right? What does he care, right? He's like YOLO, baby, YOLO. He's like living the YOLO lifestyle, YOLO, right? He doesn't care. Who do we have requesting up? J Paps, talk to me, buddy. I got you up on the stage. Boom. Refresh. There you go. J Paps.
I got 2 words for you. Plausible deniability. This is why Max Kaiser shoots off his mouth. It's as simple as that.
Plausible.
If you think Max Kaiser doesn't know who Craig Wright is, and you think Max Kaiser doesn't know Craig Wright is Satoshi, man, I don't know what universe you're living in. All of these guys, they all know. They all know. They're all reading from the same script, and they're all preaching the same story. Simple as that.
100% JPEPs. Completely agree.
You know, we in this space, us that are loyal to the original Bitcoin, we got to really stop giving everybody a pass. You got to call out all of this for what it is. You know, it's just
fraud.
And take a look at that. Look at that verdict in Norway. The one where basically, if I were to boil it down and sum it up, it was so many. If everybody says that Craig Wright is a fraud, it's okay for me to say it too. This is what's going on right now. So, what's Max Kaiser going to do? He's going to say, well, you know, Bukele, everyone is saying he's a fraud. What am I supposed to say? Am I supposed to go against 1 million people? But this is what is propagated in the space, in the BTC. They have all the media. Until something concrete comes out, and only one person can make that come out. This is the status quo. Unfortunately, this is what it is.
What could that one person bring out that would be concrete?
I don't know. We heard various pieces of evidence that he tried to get out. I mean, at some point, maybe the only option, and I'm not saying it is the only option, but maybe a good option would maybe to do something that he doesn't want to do. I mean, realistically, if signing a message is going to shut all of these people up, but he doesn't want to do it because of identity, we all know what his identity is now. You know, maybe he should just do what he doesn't want to do in order for the better of the technology. I'm not saying it's really what would be really better besides signing would be some kind of a very public demonstration of this technology at work. But that would require the media to jump along, to hop in and report it. I'm not sure that would happen. I mean, we have that whole killing Satoshi thing going to come out. That'll definitely get people to people's eyes and ears. That's definitely going to be good as well. But I mean, for us, it's a slow grind. You know, we're second guessing our sanity every day. Because we see something that apparently only we can see, you know, and we congregate to these little spaces, and there's barely 50 of us. Some days maybe up to 100. I mean, are we wrong or are we right? Personally, I don't really judge things on emotion. I believe we're on the right side, based solely on fact, based solely on performance of the blockchain. That's how I feel. Now, do other people feel that way? Clearly not. So for us, like I said, it's a slow grind. It's a waiting game. We're waiting for something to happen. But I think the future of transactions in the very near future should be something or in the realm of profit seeking for people. Because the economy, especially in the United States, but worldwide, is going to hell in a handbasket. And people are not just going to spend sats for the sake of spending sats. These are things you do when you already have money. And a lot of people do not have money. So I think the BSV blockchain should be focusing on things that either preserve wealth or actually create wealth. Like, for example, land registries. That's a definitely good way to. That's a definite good way to preserve wealth, because that would put your land title and maybe GPS coordinates on the blockchain, sealing it that if this is yours, it's immovable and it's yours. And according to the blockchain, it's yours at a certain time, a timestamp ledger. That's something I would see as having definite value and something that people would gravitate to. As far as other stuff like content creating, especially for like OnlyFans type of stuff, yeah, sure, that kind of stuff is always going to sell. But if it's between eating or watching some girl undress, I'm going to choose the eating every day.
J Paps.
Am I alone in this, or does this make sense to you at least?
It makes a lot of sense. I mean, we I want to comment actually on what you mentioned about Craig. Some of the things about Craig I heard recently was that he was thinking about moving out here to the U.S. And there's this. I don't know if he'll listen to this, but ultimately there's this thing where they offer for whales. You could pay, I think, $5 million, and you get the citizenship overnight, very fast. So he could move out to the U.S. where they recognize him in the U.S. court, at least that you went to, J Paps. You were there at the trial when they had Antonopoulos there on the stand testifying, lying like a rat. Remember that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. well, look, with all due respect, I don't see blockchain, especially not Bitcoin SV, the original Bitcoin. I don't see the adoption. I don't see America being the country that's going to kick that off. And it's unfortunate. I don't see it. Why don't I see it? It's simple. America is the country that benefits the most from leaving the status quo as it is. Why would they shake things up? Why would you want to switch blocks when you're sitting at the top of the pyramid? I don't think it's going to come from America. I'd love to be wrong. I'd love to eat my words with ketchup. I'd love it. Because being in Canada, my neighbors to the south, I mean, if they're not going to do it here in Canada, the next obvious country I would like it to happen in is in America. That goes without saying. But the way I see things, with the rampant corruption that does exist in America, which exists everywhere, to be fair, not just pointing at America, the rampant corruption that exists, all of the people that have way too much to gain by keeping Bitcoin SV down, because that furthers the status quo that we're in right now. And what would that do? Bitcoin SV gets adopted or explodes or whatever. All of a sudden, Ethereum gets shut down. People stop making shit coins on Ethereum and Solana. These people are making money. Of course, they're going to be against you.
America's the corruption capital of the world, my man. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Well, look. America. I won't say it's the corruption capital. There's a lot of corruption, in my opinion. There's a hell of a lot places that are hell of a lot more than corrupt in America.
I don't know. Congress is pretty much the top, dude. I'd say we're. There's a lot of money to be made. For sure, there's a lot of money to be made, but things are really going to switch around. I mean, this whole reserve currency business, this cannot stick around forever. Every country or countries get it and then they lose it for one reason or another, whether it's through abuse or a war or what have you. But I can't see America having the reserve currency even in the next 5 years. The thing is, everything Trump is doing today now, had he implemented this in his first term, would have been a runaway success. The thing is, you had 4 years of retard Biden, and I mean, what did that do? It actually allowed other countries to taste success that they never saw before. So once you get somebody used to having a little bit of money, they kind of always want it. So, I mean, Trump is trying to do what now? He's trying to make America great, which is perfect. The thing is, there's a finite amount of money in the world.
So if he wants all of it back in America and he controls the reserve currency, it means no one else is going to have anything to play with. So naturally, other people do not want this to happen. So, I mean, it's a tricky time right now. That's for sure.
Yeah, it is. It is. I had Jack BSV. I added you back up. All right. Saying you're welcome to come back up. You were just up here. And we got my
Sure,
man,
I'll
Matt.
drop down.
Oh, you're welcome to stay up or drop back down. It's great to hear from you. So you're welcome to stay
All
up.
right.
Yeah, please stay up. Feel free to stay up. But let me just see. We got Matt as well. Matt, B Love BU up down there in South Florida. Looks like you're up with us, my man. How you doing?
Oh man, I'm doing great, Gavin. Out here in the sun, sitting by the pool, just getting fired up by Jay Paps and you, of course. Oh man, been a while since I chimed in, but you've been really cranking out the content and going hard with the flippening, the great flippening. So I don't know, Gavin, do you think this is like imminent or what? Like how soon is this flippening?
This flippening is imminent. It's a 100% imminent. And ultimately, this is not a popular narrative other than with people who are in this obscure, environment. Here, these weirdos like me and you and others on here that we're the minority. We're a minority, and that's okay, dude. I like being early, but it is imminent, and we have all the signs. It's all right. The writing's on the wall with the massive on-chain scaling, the transaction throughput, the sub-penny near zeroed fees transactions, the unifying the ledger, everything coming down to the base layer on the protocol itself, which is Bitcoin SV as the true digital global commodity. We need, and we're going to have a base layer for the internet. It's built that way. It's happening, dude. And then, of course, the economic model and the incentives for the miners. As more transactions come on chain, like with what Teragun is doing right now, dude, we're in early days. We are early, and so that's why it's cheap. That's why it's low. We're early, okay? But trust me, when it happens, they're all going to say they knew about it. Oh, they knew about it when it happens. And they're going to say, "Oh yeah, we knew it was going to happen," and it's not going to take that long, dude. Honestly, my opinion, I think we're looking at something big in 2026 by the end of the year, and I want to have fun here. This is not. I don't know. I don't have this information, but I do think there is something planned in 2026. That is big. That may be out of our control. I'm not relying on that. Don't put faith in something like that because what John Calhoun is doing is exactly what needs to be done. Building apps, cool apps like that work, games that make transactions on chain, because that transactions on chain right now is the lowest it's ever been. So it doesn't look good on its surface. But if you think that it doesn't work, or because it's just low that it's over, like Peter McCormick said, it's over, it's done. There's no more. We don't exist anymore, according to them. We're dead. We're basically dead. When he lost that trial, that was it, dude. That signed the death warrant. And they did. That was it. So here we are. A couple of people, sitting around on a space right now, right, talking about real world adoption and institutional, how these institutions are all going to come forward. And I think, honestly, in the background, that's exactly what's happening. But we want to be doing whatever we can do. We can't rely on all these other people. And what we got to do is we got to build and make real worst cases scenarios like John is doing, John Calhoun. He's got like 5 or 6 great ideas that he's already put forward on these apps. And Kurt had put a challenge out recently about how he made a post just recently about everybody should go on the Google AI and do some sort of coding, experiment with the coding on there, and it will do it for you. And I think that's a freaking great little challenge. I would love to. I'm not up to speed on it yet, but anyways, that's my little 2 cents, Matt. It is imminent. Yes.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that synopsis there. And to your point, and as to why this is seemingly imminent, it's trending right now on X with the Mac Minis and setting up a Claude bot, which is basically like you're not just talking to AI and it's telling you what to do. You're telling it what to do and it's doing the thing. So if you combine that with the fact that Babage just dropped like the playbook to basically train an AI to start coding these apps, I mean, we've got like a $3,000 cost basis entry into taking your idea into an app, into a working product. Pretty much at the same time all this is happening that you've been documenting. And so it's really blowing my mind, because what I'm thinking is like, is this bullish or bearish? Like,
Well, how much more
overall?
bearish can it get, right? Right. I mean, think about it. You're
Oh
you know
man.
the charts. How much more bearish can it possibly get?
Well, to be honest, a
Maybe.
$10 BSV and it would drag there for 6 to
Okay.
9 months.
Okay.
Drag.
Okay.
Yeah, like a lot of people think like, oh well, this bear market's got to almost be over, because these altcoins are down so much. BTC, I mean, the lowest it could probably go is 30K, and there's still ways to go, but no, I mean, it could really drag out through ups and downs and throughout the course of this year.
Well, and as BTC falls, it's probably going to drastically fall more too.
Yeah, Casey, historically, BTC down, altcoins down, BTC up, altcoins up, but that has been the case this cycle. BTC's been up, 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 and altcoins have been down, down, down since, I mean, it's been over a year. So something different is happening. We are living through something different that we haven't seen in 16 years that BTC has been around.
Yeah. And Matt, can you hold that thought for a second?
Yeah.
All right. Let me go to this guy. Let's just let you up on stage with your hand up. First time caller, and I appreciate you raising your hand. Go ahead and yeah, introduce yourself, please. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Gavin. I appreciate it. Hey, I'm typically a Bitcoin maxi BTC, but have listened to a lot of BSV spaces. My question is, where can I get it? Because I live in a state where I can't use some exchanges, and the exchange that I was using to try to acquire it was shut down. So,
Where do you
how
buy
can I
it?
get? Yeah, where can I buy it?
Yeah, it's a really good question, right? It's been
What's
completely delisted off of every single exchange. So, I mean, that's kind of the crazy part about it. Like, it's not really accessible. So, and are you in America?
Yeah. I'm in the United States, so I was buying it off like I said, an exchange that was out of Canada. That was shut down. So I don't even know if I'll
Yeah.
get it back or not. But I
Yeah.
want to
So I
buy
think
some, and it's like, how do I buy
the
it?
cheapest way, right? Like I'd say like the best. There's what I found from what I've experienced is the cheapest way seems to be, I think Rock Wallet's probably, even with a credit card, it's pretty cheap and pretty fast. Because you could buy that as an American. You got to go through KYC to do it though. With Rock Wallet, that's one way. You do have to do KYC to do it. If you don't want to do KYC and you're like, you know what, I really want to be private on this. I kind of want to just stay anonymous and don't want to get wrapped up. Then Orange Gateway out of Iceland, they do wire transfers, and I've used them. It's legit, and you can wire transfer and not do the KYC if you kind of are dance with it. It's a little dancing to get it done, but you can make it with no KYC with that. But it might be a little bit more expensive that way. So those are two options, and the other one is BTCC Exchange. They're completely, they're completely legit. They've been around since 2010, and you can do that as well. They actually have liquidity and futures in it.
Got you.
BTCC.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, like I don't mind some KYC, but I also like to also be anonymous as well with some stuff as well. So I appreciate that information, man. I really do.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy like that. It's sad because like not really sad. Like the one of the crazy parts is like one of these was it Babage the other day? They had to put it up. I don't want to say Babage. We'll just say a company put up there and took it as a credit card, and then a lot of people I think put fraud transactions or chargebacks on it right away. So there's definitely a war going on. They don't like it's so disruptive. It's such a disruptive technology that all they could do is just sabotage it as much as they can. But that only lasts for so long. I mean, it lasts, but it only lasts for so long till it pops, man. And that's what the Great Bitcoin Flippening is. It's this suppression. It's this bubble. You push a balloon down to the bottom of the pool for so long, and you keep holding it down there, right? And you're covering it, and your body's all over it. But eventually, it slips, dude, and it goes. So that's ultimately, I think, where we're at.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I'm in the finance industry, so I kind of traditional finance industry, so I just like to allocate over, different asset classes, and then BSV. I listened to a lot of spaces. This is actually probably the first time I've ever talked on one.
Well, I love
But
having a guy who's a BTC guy come on here that is not, I appreciate you, first of all, being level headed because what normally happens is somebody will come on and they will scream at the top of their lungs, fake Toshi. And then it's not productive. I'm like, I actually like talking to a different perspective and hear different opinions, but like what you're saying, I love it, dude. I want to hear. And let me ask you, why do you like BTC?
just because back I 2014 is when I saw it was like $300 and I wanted to get into it. I never did. I was, like I said, I've been in traditional finance for probably 2 decades now. And I was just thinking it more as like a kind of like a stock price. So I was like, oh, I'll just wait till it goes to 100. Never went to 100 again. So I missed that boat. And then started just really kind of researching in 2019 when all that crazy stuff was going on. And started learning more about fiat currencies and the histories of them, through my career. And it's just like everyone's always failed. So it's like I just started dollar cost averaging in with that, precious metals, and everything else. So, and then I started listening to a lot of BSV spaces where Zach, this guy named Zach, I'm pretty sure you guys all know him. He was, just reading the white paper, and I was listening to him just read the white paper and listen to groups of people talk about the white paper and how their perspective. So I just kind of soaked that in and was like, yeah, I need to diversify everything. So that's kind of
Do you think
how
I'm
I,
do you think I'm crazy to actually have this concept of the great Bitcoin flipping? Is that just complete crazy talk, or do you think it's actually likely to happen or possible?
I mean, it's definitely possible just because we're seeing it with silver and gold right now, right? Like gold ran up and then silver is starting to make its run. And then, you look at charts and you see the S&P 500, you see the dollar or the euro, and then you put like, any of the like Bitcoin or just whatever. And it's just they've got the returns on those are just so much. And I see it myself just being in finance myself that there's a lack of understanding. So I'm trying to be a bridge to the clients that I do serve to, learn about this technology. I'm a do your own research type of person. So I've been trying to do a deep dive for the last 5, 6 years. So yeah, I mean, is it possible? Absolutely. Um, my percentage wise, I'd probably put it like maybe, I don't know, like 25% chance.
That's that's a great estimate. I love hearing this is exactly the type of conversation that we should have from a BTC person where they're like, I'm here to have I love BTC and and why? And then they come on and they listen, they say, hmm, it's about two people having a normal conversation and you're actually making valid points on all your positions, dude. I respect that. I love it. We need more people
And
like this. We need more conversations like this, dude.
And the only other thing that I didn't like was when I saw like there was just a big disparity, on one exchange versus the other, but you just couldn't offload it anywhere or buy it anywhere. So it was just, you see the bid and ask so much higher than what the actual exchange, the KYC exchanges were showing, online. And it was just like, well, why is there such a disparity there? I mean, there's something there. Um, I haven't really got into a deep dive to the big block, small blockers things. I'm not really, into that. I'm just more of a take a traditional, diversify your assets type of person. So,
So you're not
um,
in it for a religious reason or some philosophical reason. You're looking at it on a diverse,
on a traditional finance
yeah,
diversification, but
beautiful.
um, but I love crypto because of the fact that how digitally naked everybody is out there, and that's like just being taken away from us. So we need to have privacy. So that's my other thought behind crypto. So I'm full. My ideology is fully into crypto. I
Yeah.
believe that I believe that, we're obviously watching everything in real time as far as institutions lining everything up, suppressing the price of everything, so that they can position themselves. And, it's just most people aren't even paying attention. They're more worried about the headline news and stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's just my
amazing.
that's just my take.
And now we got people like crypto Kate Moso with us, who's coming in. And Casey, looks like you're unmuted. Go ahead. What did you have to say?
I was just gonna say, Hoodie, welcome to the party. What's your first name?
Uh,
Or whatever you want to
no,
share.
it's all good. It's all good. My name's Terry.
Terry. Okay. Well, nice to meet you. And yeah, like I said,
Nice to meet you
welcome
as
to
well.
the party. And I just wanted to share, if you've never heard this Kurt Walker Jr. interview that he did talking about how the banks hijacked crypto that I put in the nest, definitely watch that one and share it with any of your BTC friends if you get a chance to. That would be really helpful to, share the knowledge of how this whole technology has been hijacked, and we're on the front lines of restoring it. So thank you for being here, and share more content about BSV, please.
No, absolutely. I mean, obviously, it's more made for, peer-to-peer, smaller transactions. But when you say hijacking, like I heard a stat the other day, and I don't know if it's true because I didn't research it, but they were saying like the origin OG, Bitcoiners that got, BCH, BSV that are holding that still hold about 85% of it versus the institution. Is that true or no?
I don't know. Do you have the answer to that?
I don't.
Anyone?
I don't have that. No.
It's definitely
Okay.
something to research, but
I
yeah.
don't think anybody should know the answer to that. That's the whole point.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
when I checked out your page to see about letting you up, I saw, a few BSV people follow you, but there's not a lot of content about BSV on there. So I wasn't sure if you were going to come up and troll or if you were here to add
No, it's okay.
contributions. So
I swear I wanted to prove you to come up. I like that because I want to encourage more people in BTC because they should be I hope I can encourage BTC people to say, look, this is like our friend Terry just said. There's a 20 in his mind is 25% chance that this is going to happen. This flippening. That's a BTC guy saying that. Okay. Now we're saying 100% over here. I'm saying 100%, and it's inevitable. But that's still cool. That's still great. You're smart. You're intelligent to have an open mind, Terry. So thank you for that.
Yeah, clearly not part of the laser eye crew.
You're not in the laser eye hodl cult, I don't think. The hodl cult is different. They don't care about price or anything. They're in a cult. It's a different mindset.
Yeah, they're paid controlled opposition.
They're paid just to troll me, and they come and yell. They will yell and scream fake Toshi on the space as loud as possible. That's what they do, and then we have to block them.
No, I've heard some of the spaces before in the past, and yeah, I've heard that, or they pitch some other coin, or I don't know. I just, like I said, I'm just first time talker. I'm just an observer. I try to absorb as much as I can. I haven't been in the space that long, but obviously we're going through a real time, like you said, attack on institutions trying to grab as much as they can and when they can and suppress price. So, and it's, I've never seen I just checked the price of BSV and I'm just like, why? Like, I want to buy something right now,
Yeah, it's not that easy. I would say Chuck Rock Wallet, Orange Gateway, BTCC Exchange has it. Those are the three. Let me go to Kate Mosso.
One last thing. What was that first wallet you said?
Well, Rock Wallet is an American. They're American/Canadian exchange wallet.
Okay.
They do self-custody. Rock Wallet. It's an app.
Yeah, I do self-custody. Yeah.
Yeah, they have self-custody wallet. It's a great self-custody wallet. They have stablecoin MNE and BSV and BTC and Ethereum and all the other, like the main coins. That's an easy one. They do KYC. It's all by the book. And then Orange Gateway is one where you can do non-KYC out of Iceland and do wire transfers. So
okay. And
then BTCC Exchange is KYC as well, and they do have it.
And can I hold BSV off like in a cold storage wallet as well?
Yeah, Rock Wallet is cold storage. You could do it on there or move it from there in a different cold storage
Well,
wallet.
we've done some spaces, that talk about some cold storage options that are completely offline. If that's something you're interested in, you could find some of those on Gavin's channel. But Rock Wallet is still technically like a warm or hot wallet because it is connected to your phone and the internet. But if you're
Yeah.
looking for cold
Yeah. Check
storage,
out
that would be.
if you have an
Uh,
iPhone, there's an old app. It's called oh my gosh, why am I forgetting it now? What's that
if
old
you
one that
send me a if
yeah,
you send
message
me a
Casey.
DM, Terry, I can send you a couple links that'll give you some info on true cold storage for BSV.
Okay, and you're what's your name? I'm sorry. Are you Casey that just said that?
Casey
Okay.
here. Yeah. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And as far as hodling, I typically hodl everything. So it's not like just BTC or whatever. Like, yeah, I hodled silver. I hodl, just whatever I have, the, stocks, bonds, whatever, so
Well,
I don't think.
the fun thing you haven't experienced yet with BSV is you actually get to use it over here in the economy that's being built in BSV. So there's micropayments, social media platforms, all kinds of different things you can use, betting platforms. So
Oh yeah,
you don't
check
just
out
have to hodl over
Little
here.
Bit is actually super cool, man. I would everybody check out Little Bit. They've got it's gambling. It's gambling in micro like small amounts online. It's cool bets to make. It actually is a really cool site. Little Bit .io, I believe it is. Let me go to Kate
Cool.
Mosso.
All right,
I'll come back to you, Terry. Mute out for a second. I'm going to come back to you.
no,
Okay, if you
I'll
want to,
just
feel
drop.
free to
I'll
stay up.
just drop down. You guys answered all my questions. I'll continue to listen, and let
Right
someone else
on.
pop up. But
Love
thank
having
you
you.
very
Come back
much, guys. I
again,
appreciate it. No, I'm just gonna drop off. So and then
Terry.
come back on. All right, thank you.
Crypto Kate, talk to me.
Hey guys, how are you?
Outliving the dream. How you
Of
doing?
course.
Isn't it
I'm
freezing
good.
cold in Colorado?
It is freezing. We got snow and I'm just listening in. It's exciting to hear like BTC people dropping in and I think just more people dropping into the community every day. Like everyone who's old school BSB, they're like there's no one left. There's no one left. It's like, well, what about all the people that are popping up? And I mean, I'm certainly one of them. And I just think that, and I wish, if Terry, who was just on here, I wish he was still on here because, as one thing that I think should really be noted, and we're all in crypto universe, so we think about it all the time, but from a public perception and even from an investor and trader perception, as the as the market continues to slide down drastically, which is all I'm seeing, and the 4-year cycle continues to break uh, from its usual predictions, more people are going to be looking for that alternative to BTC. And then the other thing is, how many people really understand this technology? That's something that I've been trying to figure out since the beginning, and I'm certainly not one to say that I understand it completely, but I think the fact that so few do is how we got here, and so few are interested or able to understand the breadth of this technology. I mean, the internet they started developing that in the 60s. People started using it in the 90s. So, I mean, that's kind of how I see BSV. If he is a financial advisor, someone looking to hodl, looking for long-term investments, I mean, this would obviously be the place to look. That's if you understand the technology. And so few people do. Who understands the technology? I mean, we've read the Satoshi white paper. We know the definition of decentralization and why we're here. Um, but the reality is, in terms of actually building it, I think we're still early. I think we're still so early, like not so early we're never going to see it in our lifetime necessarily. But I mean, when you talk to like the real experts, if you get a chance to talk to Craig, if you get a chance to talk to Ty at length, you're gonna learn how, you know, how complex this is, which is why I've been kind of like supporting Project Babage and the metanet usage recently, because I see so much potential in that. If you speak with people in crypto, you go to a conference, people in crypto, a big question is when do we solve the issue of wallet interoperability? And I think Babbage is really far along on that. I mean, basically, from their standpoint, your wallet should sign into you, and they've already done that. So I'm really excited for them this year. And then one other thing that we were discussing before I think Terry was speaking was vibe coding. I was not aware, and I think this goes back to Kurt's tweet. And this is something you guys may know. I was not aware vibe coding didn't really exist until about a year ago, and then every month it's getting better and better. So for
And
someone like
what is vibe
me or
coding?
Gavin, yeah, if me or Gavin want to go, and sorry to group you in here with me, Gavin, but if I want to go vibe code on, like, say devlove.com, and I'm actually about to post, I'm going to post a video that I shot with Braden where he vibe coded a website. Now we made it really short and simple, so you don't have to spend all day watching it. But hold on. But the reality is, yeah, everyone's going to start vibe coding. You go on a website like, I think it's devlove.com or devlove.org, and you just speak into it and you say, make me a website that shows, and this was our example, pictures of cute cats. And it just does it. Now, if there's a mistake, you can tell it to fix the mistake. You could tell it what's wrong. So literally everyone can now be developing. Or, I mean, but then the more advanced way to do it, and the way you can build higher level stuff, is to actually know how to code. So you use AI to not waste time to start, and then when it messes up, you fix it as someone who understands the coding language. That's how you build advanced things. And this is new. So I think that's huge for BSV. And again, we're just early in in building this technology. And the most important asset that you can have, from what I've seen in my research, is real scaling experts. There aren't real scaling experts, as far as I know, on BTC. Maybe there are, and they're just being quiet to make money. I have no idea. There could be, but we have those real scaling experts, and that's something that we're working on. I don't think I don't want to say it's not ready yet. We're using it, and we're furthest along. But I mean, this is like a long-term project.
Yeah.
So when you consider the fact that, I mean, how come no one from BTC or any other chain ever brings up scaling? I've never. It's all we talk about here at BSV. It's the constant conversation. That's all we're looking to do. That's really laying the groundwork. So I think there's so much to be optimistic about. I know I'll be holding my BSV for my son, you
Yeah.
know, if not
What
for myself and my son. But there's so much to be excited about as the market, back to where I started, continues to crash. No one's
mhm.
making money on this except for a few people, and enough people are going to get pissed off that they start looking for alternatives. And that's
Yeah.
just kind of where, that's my little speech for today.
We'll have a consolidation of things and what's called a unification of the protocol. You know, back in
Yeah.
the early days of the internet, you know, this is going way back. You know, 19. I was in high school at the time. The internet was, you know, coming out. Like I was like maybe even earlier than that. And they had the intranet, and they had all these web protocols that were trying to be competition. But eventually it all came to World Wide Web. And Satoshi, the guy who put this whole thing together, he was around and he saw that, how it all laid out. And so as Bitcoin was being designed and thought through for years in advance, you know, he saw that and how there was going to need to be a unification of everything right here. And that's where we're going. You know, I think that's where we are, but it's got to it will eventually all unify onto one chain, and that chain will then blend with the internet, which will be IPv6. And that's what Latif Ladie said over there in London when I was there. He's neutral. IPv6 is neutral. They do not care they're just saying, this is the only thing that works, the only thing that's compliant, the only one that we can work on is this blockchain. You know, so if there was a different one, he's like, we'll use it. But it's just, that's where we're going. But Kate, what was the motivation for you to go out there to Babbage? I mean, maybe you could give us some takeaways that you had about, I was like, love your video that you made about you going out there and I saw Ty was in a backroom meeting, in a secret meeting, and he was having
I know.
you weren't allowed to talk to him. And I'm just like, what was some of the insider information that you got?
Well, I figure you try to get that out of me, Gavin. I can't give anything away that, I've that's off the record. Done it before. Some people got mad, not doing it again. I'll just say that there's no reason to think that BSV is coming to a hard stop. It's not being defunded. I mean, maybe less than a few years ago, but it's not being defunded. No one is stopping. It's building. They're building it more every day. There are new products coming down the line. There are new deals coming down the line. I can't say what any of those are. My motivation is always follow the money. So who are they really trusting? Who is BSVA trusting? And I can't even say who's funding Project Babage completely, but you just take a look and you see, well, who's actually innovating here? We all want to help and we all have our different skills, but who are they really looking at? Who are they trusting to keep pushing this forward from a BSV standard? And that's clearly the Project Babbage team. So what are they up to? I think it's like I tweeted the other day. I mean, they've been laying the groundwork for metanet, and now it's time for them to do what they've always known they needed to do, which is to make it user friendly. And that's simple for them. What's hard is laying that groundwork and making it as secure as they wanted it to be. What's easy for them is making apps. What's hard, I don't want to say hard for them, but something that we can all help on is giving ideas for viral apps that are within the BSV ethos. Like, I mean, some people say, how about an app that's like really controversial? It's like, well, how controversial are we going on this chain? Because another reason to, I think, look at BSV long term, which I would have liked to have told BTC guy if he was still here, is that as time goes on, there are going to be different regulations are going to be put in place, taken out of place, and transformed. But the one chain that goes after illicit transactions is going to be the one left standing. I mean, especially when no one's making money on this anyway. Like, I can't speak for Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy, but people are just going to get pissed off enough. We're doing it the right way. And yeah, that's we need to help them in considering those app ideas, because building it's no problem. Making it user friendly at this issue is no problem. I don't know of any other the wallet signs into you sort of Web3
Okay, Carrie's
format.
back up here now from BTC. If you want to ask
yeah.
him, if you want to mention something to him, I know he's back on stage, so go ahead.
Yeah. So Terry, I'm wondering, have you ever heard of the issue of wallet interoperability?
I don't think I've heard that term before, but I've listened to developers talk
Yeah.
about it, like controlling your own data and not having it be mined from any other app or some sort. That
Right.
you're in
So
control of your data. Is the way I see it.
I think a lot of people forget that the goal of blockchain and the cryptocurrencies that have been born from all of these blockchains is to eventually create Web3. And the problem with using Web3 apps, which they're holding out as Web3, and you can use it today, it's sort of bogus to not just people who are using those apps, but the general public, because you have to download a new wallet for every single app. But one thing that we're doing on BSV is we're having we have one portal you can sign into, and that's called the metanet. So you might want to check that out. The
Yeah, so let
Twitter
me
handle.
see if I
Yeah,
can do
jump
a
in,
decent
please.
job at try to breaking down what we'd call the vendor neutral wallet standard. So it was really in London when I really had this awakening. Actually, it was before that. So I went to the hackathon at the Babage headquarters there. What was it? Right before the London trip, and so it was there that I finally was like, oh my gosh, it was Mitch, of course. Mitch, Kate, do you know Mitch? Binary Mitch? Kate, have you met him? Kate? It looks like
Hey, no, I don't think I know Mitch unless he's in Colorado.
he's in Colorado.
Oh, then I know him.
Okay, he's also not, he has not going to those events. Like Mitch is kind of like, I don't know. He hasn't going. He's kind of like in his own thing. He's like too good for all that in a way. Not like, I'm not saying he is, but I miss like he's just probably
Yeah,
not good at any events. So
honestly, the highest level people
yeah,
really
you're
building
not going
the
to probably
protocol
meet
that's
him.
going to last do
Yeah.
come off as too good. And the reason why is because they're working all the time.
That's right.
They're working on exactly.
Exactly. That's what he's doing. So he's busy and he comes on and talks to me or sometimes, but he really broke it, explained it to me perfectly. And why it's such a massive breakthrough. So let me see if I can summarize it. And ultimately, what's the problem that it was solving? So first of all, we had CentB, Money Button, Malaysia, and even the hand cash. Now they're still around, but CentB was the old one, and Money Button. It caused a lot of problems for people because they were using these wallets, and these wallets went out of business. The founders went away and left, and then a regular person who's not a programmer, doesn't understand things too well, they go back to the website and it's gone. And I say, where's my wallet at? And a regular person doesn't know what to do. That's the problem. It doesn't mean they lost their coins, but it's just it's a problem that needed to be solved. So now by having what's called a vendor neutral wallet standard, which is called the BRC 100, and a standard of interoperability between all wallets, to where if you're using Money Button or if you're using a BTC wallet, a different wallet, hand cash, whatever wallet you want to use, is all built on BRC 100, the language, and then you just pick, I'm on this wallet. Great. Let's go live. Let's transact. It doesn't matter what wallet you're on anymore. That's what the big breakthrough is with BRC 100. And as people start to realize that, I think that's why Babage is like leading the pack right now, because somebody obviously saw that at Bitcoin Association. They realized that like how big of a deal that is and how solving that problem was huge. No one knew it was a problem. I guess nobody knew the problem, and then until I think CentB and Money Button started blowing up, and they're like, man, this is a problem. How do we fix it? So now it's fixed. And so now it's just a matter of they're building, what was yours wallet right now is the latest one. Remember I had David Case on last week, and David Case said he's building the yours wallet right now to interface on the BRC 100 protocol, which is vendor neutral. So that's where every week it's getting better and better and better. Does that help on maybe somebody else could describe that standard better than I can? Oh, HODL. Oh yeah, Terry, you got your hand up. Go ahead, buddy. Thanks. And if anybody else has something, raise your hand. I saw if anybody.
Yeah, I have something to add.
Yeah,
I have something to add real quick, Gavin. That's sort of an analogy. If the goal of this, so crypto right now, it's seen as a store of value, and people love it for that. And some have made a lot of money, but more have lost money. The goal here is Web3, which is going to be vastly more valuable than the crypto market cap at this moment.
Define Web3.
But the problem is no one's using it. Even people can invest in crypto and not be using Web3. But they're not using Web3 because it's all over the place. There's too many wallets. It's too confusing. It's not like a portal into a new internet, but that's what the metanet is. Now, it's just like fixing, there was a long-standing issue of credit card interoperability. Who fixed that? Some guy you probably never heard of, who's chilling in Ohio, retired. So that's something that BSV is doing to make Web3 real faster. And back to the Money Button issue, there were a lot of wallets and a lot more people using BSV until they sold that somewhere else, no longer on BSV, and that crashed a lot of adoption. But with the BRC 100 wallet and the metanet, I mean, that would be, in my opinion, coming from mass media and then transitioning over here into the blockchain space, that would be the project to look at if you think, if you really believe in the future of Web3, which really everyone should. I mean,
What is
just you sign on into the portal. There it is. There are the apps. Now you can use it,
and so
and you're on chain.
what is Web3? How do you define Web3?
I mean, personally, let's get back to the internet where they can't steal all your data, keep it on chain. We're getting rid of digital marketing, and we're getting rid of paid information for more truthful information. That's something that I think Babage is working on, is making that primary source, foundational source search engine that we would all like to see. It sort of be like Google from 2009 when it was always right, as opposed to Google now where the first 10 searches are clearly paid ads. But there's so much more than that. There's the ability to, if we can put all this stuff in one place, all these pie in the sky sort of goals of what Bitcoin originally represented, like peer-to-peer transactions, put them all in the same place, along with Web3, that ability to make simple send smart contracts easily and not have to deal with a million wallets and not have to deal with your crypto getting stolen or a million different coins. I mean, to me, that's what's so appealing about the future of Web3. I mean, it's coming inevitably. It's just that the other chains aren't really working on the Web3 side, as far as I know. They're working on the store of value side.
Yeah. Did you want to
So,
ask anything over to Terry while we have him
Yeah,
up here as
right.
well? Go
I
ahead.
was going to say, I completely agree with what you just said, because I had a friend that had recently passed away, and will be helping his family, go through all these different apps that they don't know how to go through to try to all consolidate into one wallet. And so I mean, I see that right now. So you just saying that would make the user interface for the regular person like me, or I consider myself a boomer, to be able to have one place where I can have all my stuff, and then be able to transact and not have to worry about losing a seed phrase, losing a password, or having my PIN password and then losing my seed phrase, or having an app change some protocol where I never even put in a password, and now I have to try to find my seed phrase again. So yes,
Right.
you hit that on the point, Kate.
Yeah. And I mean, listen, how many people own digital assets? I was at a convention in Miami. Eric Trump spoke, and number he threw out was 17% of people around the world own digital assets. That's not true. I mean, if you speak with real experts, you can speak with Craig Wright, like I have, and anyone who's been in this for a very long time, they will estimate it far lower. But I mean, someone, not to drop his name too much, Craig would put it at 0.1%. So how early are we in this stage of owning digital assets when we know money is all going digital, and it's going to be going digital for the point of, a lot of different reasons, to control inflation, but also to create a better version of the internet and more possibilities for humans as the world evolves and other opportunities dry up. So we have so few people using it at this point. So few people owning crypto at this point, right? So they couldn't even use a Web3 app if they wanted to, because they don't own crypto. So then you get into the Web3 app and it's like, well, I'm not going to be using this, so I guess I'll just invest in it as a store of value. Well, guess what? Now you're not investing in it as technology. So if that's not a bubble, I don't know what is. What BSV stands for is, and I mean, no one's paying me to say this. I was led to BSV pretty fast after I started working with Cardano on promotions. And I just couldn't get enough answers. But in terms of the Web3 thing, that is the goal, and that's what we're working on. This is why BSV people, they don't care so much about the price went up, the price went down. It's not about that so much for us. It's about, are we preserving the protocol and are we building Web3? So, people just want to be able to use it easily and not deal with wallets, and they don't own crypto in the first place. So we're really early in history, and considering how early we are in history, we're way, way, way ahead.
Hey,
Way ahead.
what are your thoughts about that guy from Cardano, Hoskinson?
My thoughts are that you know, he's a good marketer. And if you, there's books on what happened in the Ethereum house. He was one of the alleged, you know, he is, I guess, technically one of the 8 or 9 people in the Ethereum house in Switzerland who designed Ethereum. He had issues. There was a drama in the house. He was fired after 5 months. So what he did was he took political funding and built his own chain called Cardano. There's no white paper as far as I'm concerned. It was built by a company called IOHK in Hong Kong. And if you look at the architecture, it's extremely contrived. There's a bureaucracy on chain. Uh, I can't even really get into it. Would not buy it. No one's using it. Total ghost chain. People think, oh, all these chains in the top 20, everyone must be using them. No one's really using them because they're not really using them for Web3. They might, I mean, BTC, you want to send money on there, fine. It's really slow. Um, so I mean, that's never going to work to be the original Satoshi vision. It's never going worldwide unless they can stop cheating on you know, well, even with cheating with the Lightning Network, it's not gonna. I would like to see them scale it to the point BSV has. But yeah, my opinion on Charles is he's a great marketer, and he puts so much money into marketing that me, as just a regular someone with a TV news reporting background, got pulled into it to do work at conventions. So that's
Mhm.
something we don't really focus on with BSV because we understand we're so early building the protocol. When I say early, I don't mean it's not available to use today. I mean, we're building it the right way for mass Web3 adoption. I don't see anyone else doing that. And I've literally have not heard of, like, if you tell your average person, hey, there's 3 iterations of the internet. There was AOL, then there's the one we're on now, controlled by a few companies, and then there's going to be this one called Web3 that runs on blockchain. It's going to be secure and give you all these new opportunities. The average person will say, how do I log on to that? I said it, and that's considered a novice, ignorant question to people in the world of cryptocurrency. But it's a really good question considering no one owns digital assets, no one cares, and crypto is largely seen as a scam. So, I mean, that's my take. Great marketing, and I would say
Yeah.
the same for all of those chains. I mean, I haven't looked at all of them in depth in terms of architecture. All those chains on the top 10, it's marketing, it's parties, it's conventions, but that's only going to last for so long as people continue
So,
losing money.
so was it true that you were working in the mainstream news, and then somebody contacted you from Cardano, and then they said, "Hey, would you work with us and do some media stuff for us?" And then but then prior to that, did you know about blockchain, or was that your introduction to blockchain?
That was my introduction to blockchain. I mean, and I was told, and I've told this, a lot of you guys know my story. I was told, don't worry about it. We need on-air talent. I said, okay, well, for me, I mean, I don't do stories without researching it. So I start researching it. And when I go out with it, go to a convention, I say, well, can we get some experts on here who can explain it from a very basic level? And they have nothing but, well, we have a great community and, you know, we need to overthrow the banks, and blockchain allows us to do that. So buy Cardano. Well, okay, well, why Cardano and not any of these other blockchains? And also, the question of decentralization is not one that you will, that Cardanians, if you will answer clearly, because no one knows what's going on. As opposed to when you pop up at BSV, which really is, I mean, for me, I was lucky enough to run into someone who, you know, is valuable to our community, but has been around since the beginning, and that's Kurt, who told me the history. When I looked at the history, I saw how clear it was that this had been taken from this great idea that is possible and turned into a mega scam, and there's thousands of blockchains. And so yeah, my opinion on Charles, great marketer, and my opinion on a lot of these crypto founders, great marketer. Michael Saylor probably being the best marketer of all time. But this doesn't achieve the goal of blockchain and what crypto is there for. So I mean, if you want to invest in something that never achieves its goal, go invest in something that never achieves its goal. If you want to invest in Web3, I mean, it could take a while, but I would look at BSV for that, because they're the only ones who are going to answer all your technical questions
Yep.
about like, how is this decentralized and what are all the different forms of decentralization that you have to understand. Because if you don't understand the decentralization aspect, then you don't understand how this is different from just, using your bank, going through the bank, or using your credit card. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's my opinion. Great marketing. And I think we've all been fooled by that. And how long will that go on? I don't know. We talk about this all the time. When does the crypto market crash? And Terry, as someone from, uh, from finance, what do you think about this? What do you think about the future of crypto? I mean, do you see BTC continuing to moon, and the other ones? What do you think?
I mean, I don't know if I continue to see it moon unless
Yeah.
it's my whole thought behind crypto is it was supposed to be decentralized, even though I work in an industry that is centralizing it. And so it's going against like the whole crypto ideology in my
Right.
and so
Right.
and so my whole goal is to try to get out of that system and try to give people foresight of what we're of kind of like where Gavin said we're at, and like not an inflection point yet to where it's fully adoptable, just because the majority of wealth right now is held by boomers, but we're seeing one of the biggest transfers of wealth right now as we speak as well. That's what I see anyways, as far as real time. And I also see real time institutions centralizing something that's supposed to be decentralized, so that's kind of my
Right.
thought. So,
I mean,
so, so I'm like, I'm 50-50 in. I'm trying to get, more towards out of centralization, and the company I work for does not like me for saying that. And I just tell my clients the truth, so
I mean,
it's
all
not.
these centralized institutions, one thing that we keep an eye on in BSV, and I keep seeing, and you've probably noticed as well, is that they just keep getting more and more in on it. So if the goal is decentralization, why is JP Morgan involved? Why are Visa and MasterCard main investors in BTC? Why do they basically essentially use the MasterCard system to send money through the Lightning Network on BTC? That's not decentralized. And again, I'm not an expert in decentralization, but the only people who could ever answer the question of what is decentralization and how is this decentralized, which is a really good question that a lot of intelligent people are asking. How is this decentralized? The only place I got those answers was from people associated with the BSV blockchain. And it goes back to this original protocol, building it right and not compromising it. And that's kind of where I think, other than these lawsuits, and that's a whole nother thing, the reality is you could take Craig Wright out of it. I mean, almost completely, if you just preserve the white paper. And still, if you were true to that original white paper and this original idea of decentralization, the goal would need to be scaling. So that technology takes a really long time. The fewer people who use it, the more decentralized it can be. But once it starts getting bigger and bigger, they start taking shortcuts regarding the decentralization technology. And basically, I don't want to say every chain, because I haven't researched every chain. They're not decentralized. They're running on, your classic money bank transaction systems. And it's unbelievable that no one's pointed it out, but it goes back to the fact that there's a lack of education and a lack of interest and too much marketing.
Here's a question I have, and let me interject here. So, and I know maybe Craig can jump up here. I see him in the crowd. Craig Mason, if you want to jump up, I think you can automatically join it if I think. But either way, maybe you could send him a request if not, Casey. And my question is this: how is BTC peer to peer when they go over to these other networks? I'm wondering, like, on a technological basis, as an expert, is it peer to peer? Does anyone know that? I know Craig Mason had talked about it before, and he might know. And I'm like unsure. I'm being honestly, I don't know. Is BTC peer to peer? Does anyone know? Like overall, or can it sometimes be peer to peer and not other times? Do you know, Kate?
I think sometimes it's peer to peer, unless you're sending it over like the Lightning Network where there are watchtowers.
So how can you tell?
I mean, it's just been reported over and over again. I mean, if you read, and someone else jump in, I'm sure someone knows more about the issue regarding the Lightning Network
Well, the
and
reason
Square
it's
on
relevant,
BTC than I do. But no, I don't think I think it's can be intercepted, and it's not straight peer to peer.
if the
It's not
if
running
the
on the
Clarity Act
blockchain.
passes as it is, Kate,
It's
with the new versions, it's the new write-up that's in the Senate now. It's going to discussion on the 27th. If it passes as it is, they're defining digital assets as a peer-to-peer network. And so
it's only peer to peer if the blockchain handles it directly. If they're doing some kind of layer 2 or something, then it's no
Right.
longer peer to peer.
And
So
that's the issue with BTC. Is that correct, Casey? I mean, you tell me. It's not directly peer to peer. They've
yeah, they can't settle
they've
directly on
scaled it.
chain.
They've basically, to put it in super simple terms, they've fake scaled it. They've
Hmm.
used instruments like the Lightning Network to make it move faster. Yet still, how fast is it moving? What do we say? 5 to 7 transactions per second. I think the Lightning Fast network, if you can like opt into that, makes it move faster, but it's not peer to peer. And that's
yeah,
my understanding. So yeah, I mean, how is that decentralized? It's
looks
not. But yeah, you jump in, Casey.
looks like we got the coping king up right now. So I'm wondering
Yeah,
if
I
he
was
can
gonna
share
Someone
some
say,
else.
coping with us as well.
Greg, take it away.
Hey, I'm here to cope. I've been enjoying listening to this, but let's just say BTC is sometimes peer to peer, and I'm not the guy to ask about the technicalities. I'm generally going on 10,000-foot vibes view. Like that's my that's my understanding of Bitcoin. I mean, I understand the technicalities of the protocol, and that's why I have settled on BSV as the only iteration of scalable peer to
You,
peer cash, because
Craig,
nothing else.
you
Oh, sorry. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I can, but I
Yes.
want to ask you something on this point
Sure.
exactly. So,
Yeah.
Craig, I remember you shared a story recently about how you ran into an old friend at the mall or locally, and he
Yeah.
was in BTC. And can you share that story as to what happened with the transaction, the peer-to-peer thing, and all that? Because that really was like right on point with what I was talking about. Like, dude.
Yeah. Totally. And I see why, because it was like an "Am I taking crazy pills?" moment of someone I know who's a good guy. We're not like close friends, but I've seen him around and talked to him a handful of times. And he's a big Bitcoin guy. And these BTC people, they are, a lot of them, their hearts are in the right place. They can see, you can kind of, like with vibes, you can kind of feel the magic of Bitcoin you have explained to you the first time, but they don't play it out all the way. So he's a big BTC guy, like everybody I know in person. The only people I know that are in BSV are like me and my wife, who understands it, and otherwise my friends on the internet. But so this guy, he has a local little smoothie and bakery shop, and it's in the mall. And I went to go, like, oh, I got to get a pretzel. I like a pretzel on a sports business. And so I say, hey, do you take BSV? Joking, because obviously he and I have talked about BSV. He's not, he doesn't understand BSV. And he's like, nope, only the good stuff, only the real thing, talking about BTC, of course. And so
Hold
I
on.
thought about it for a second. I was like, oh, I have a little bit of BTC on a wallet for something. I was trying to pay for something. I needed BTC for it, so I swapped something or bought it on Coinbase or something. So I had a little bit of BTC in a hot wallet on my phone. And I was like, oh, well, I have actually, now that I think about it, I have some BTC. I'll pay with that. And he's like, oh, well, Square only takes Lightning. And so the Square network, the POS system, they take Bitcoin, they take BTC, so they say, but it's only over the Lightning Network. So they fully captured It's like Bizarro World. They fully captured Bitcoin, an electronic peer-to-peer cash system, into being once again legacy finance 2.0. And I think this relates to what you guys are talking about. Like, is BTC peer-to-peer? I mean, kinda. I don't, like I said, the technicalities I'm not an expert on, but people can say something about SegWit. The way it kind of works, basically peer-to-peer, I think, but for 7 transactions per second. And it's like, okay, is a go-kart with a 49cc engine, is that a means of conveyance we could use? And it's like, yes, it is, but can we actually use that for the world to actually transport people around? Is actually a technology that is serious, or is it like kind of a joke? And that, yeah, sure, or a tricycle. It's like, is a tricycle a means of conveyance? Yeah, it is, but we're not going to be driving to work in them. You can't haul goods with them. It's like, it's not for serious.
Did you use
if
the
wanna be
tricycle
serious about it.
analogy?
What's that?
Did you just use the tricycle analogy?
Yeah, I was thinking of something that it's not like a serious means of conveyance, but BSV is like, you can make sports cars with it. You can make 18-wheeler semi trucks that can haul tons of goods. You can make bullet trains to make people. It's like, you can do whatever you want. It's a open highway system or railway system, and this concept is totally foreign to the BTC mind. And it's crazy because it makes like 10,000 times more sense. But the people go on what popularity is. They go on like basic vibes, and you know the story. But that's what I wanted to add.
Now, if you guys like this space, then please just do the repost on it. It will help the word get out there. If you guys like what you're hearing from the Coping King, Craig Mason, over to you, Crypto Kate.
Yeah, I think you guys should be aware, and Terry, we were just discussing decentralization and peer-to-peer. Is BTC peer-to-peer? And Craig was discussing that. But Ty's in the chat now, so maybe you can explain how BTC is not decentralized and peer-to-peer.
All right, we have a subject matter expert in the room. All right, Babage.
Hey guys, just heard this chat was going on, and maybe we can. I don't know. I just joined, so I don't have too much context, but I'm happy to try to,
I guess I was trying to get the question answered. We have a guy from BTC in the room, and he's not a troll. He's not a jerk either. He's
just
a nice
someone
guy.
who's legitimately interested in.
He's
learning
legitimately interested in learning, which I appreciate, and we need that, and so I'm trying to answer the question as a non-expert, and now that we have an expert in the room, is BTC peer-to-peer? Is it peer-to-peer? And
so there's a couple of different ways to think about that. And in BTC, there's a common idea that, people run these nodes, and those nodes that they run so they can, see all of their transactions on the network. They participate in a peer-to-peer network when they run those nodes, right? So if you are running a BTC node, there is the conception that you're part of this peer-to-peer network, you're receiving all the transactions from the whole network, and therefore you are, exchange. When you make your own transactions and everybody who also runs a node can receive them, they are peer-to-peer. And so if you run a BTC node, then in some way you could say yes, but only if you you're not using second layer solutions and things like that. And when you settle on BTC at the base layer, right? What the main issue that I think I have with that characterization, though, is just that the size of the blocks and the throughput of the network on BTC, they make it so that anybody can, supposedly like run a node and exchange these transactions and whatnot. That's true. But they also increase the cost of layer one transactions. So that means that, I believe that with segregated witness and with the block weight and everything like that, I think it's about 7 transactions per second that can be operated across the entire network. And the reason why is because all of these nodes who are these peers on BTC, there's, many thousands of them now. They, not a lot of them actually create blocks. They're not mining. They're just receiving all these transactions. And so every one of those nodes has to, the whole network can process 7 transactions per second, but every one of those nodes has to process every one of those transactions. So if you manage to buy, 1/7 of a second worth of, that network's sort of throughput, meaning you put a transaction into that network. You can, and that is, in the sense if you're running your node and sending it to other people who also run a node, that's peer-to-peer. But the cost of doing so is extremely high. And so that's why I think, and by the way, most people who use BTC, whether it's through an exchange or they use it through a custody wallet, but they have a block explorer, they hold their keys, they don't run a node. And so in that way, they're not even peer to peer. They have to trust these services to provide an accurate view of their transactions on the blockchain, because they don't really use simplified payment verification or SPV, since they've constrained the capacity of the network in an attempt to get as many mining as many like peer to peer operators in terms of nodes, right? There's another definition of peer-to-peer, and that definition, I think, is more scalable. So when we think about the desire to create a global system where many, many people can afford to participate, right? Because if there's billions and we want to get lots of high volume transactions at layer one, we can do that another way by increasing the capacity of blocks and then utilizing the tools that were described in section 8 of the white paper, which is simplified payment verification. And that essentially allows you to, deal with each other on the network as users of the network without needing to run a node and be aware of all transactions. You can simply be aware of only the transactions that you yourself were involved in creating or sending or receiving. That kind of thing is a more peer-to-peer approach at scale. Now, I will give credit, there are on BTC attempts to use second layer solutions. So one primary example is called the Lightning Network. And on Lightning Network, there's benefits and drawbacks to that. One of the massive drawbacks, in my opinion, is that it doesn't make on-chain records of transactions. So we lose some of the transparency and accountability benefits. And there's a different trust model and different economic implications than just Bitcoin itself, right? Bitcoin and Lightning Network are different. And so they've tried to scale it that way. But we over here in the BSV camp, we have different approaches to that. And the approaches that we use create a more, in our view, sustainable approach to peer-to-peer exchange. So what that means in practice is Alice and Bob, right? 2 individuals. I can just directly hand you a transaction. Like when I'm a person in your store and you run a shop, I can send you that transaction in the same way I'd send you a text or an email, and then you can use, without having to run a node, without having to be aware of all of the transactions, because BSV, we're about like 1 million transactions per second or something on chain, and we do them all at layer 1, so the fees are much lower, and things like that. So to give credit to BTC, like the Lightning Network, they claim the fees are much lower, and that's true, but they've made sacrifices and changed the economics. We have simply leveraged the capabilities that were originally incorporated into the Bitcoin white paper with section 8 and some of the SPV stuff, so that we can do peer-to-peer where we send each other transactions directly at lower cost. We can verify them, and we don't all need to run those nodes, right? So on BTC, you if you want to be peer-to-peer like that, you'd have to run a node. And that's, it's within reach for more people because they've constrained the size of the network and the size of the blocks and the number of transactions that can happen on the whole network so that more people can do that. On BSV, it's harder to run a node, but what you get out of being part of the network is you can still verify your transactions. You don't have to be aware of everyone's transactions. And therefore, the cost to the network and to you as a transacting party is also going to be much lower on a per transaction basis, allowing you to deal with things like micropayments and other things like that more easily. And so, really, we have competing, terminology sometimes in our space. We do get, obviously, people get tribalistic sometimes, emotionally charged sometimes. We have different definitions for things, but peer to peer in that definition means simplified payment verification, exchanging transactions directly, confirming those transactions using the simplified payment verification process, and doing that in a low cost and globally scalable way without sacrificing the economics of Bitcoin at layer one and the security and the transparency aspects of blockchain technology at layer one. And that's really what I think peer to peer is, in the sense that people mean. It's just a question of who you listen to, and really, we all come to our own conclusions about this, and we believe different things about the utility of Bitcoin. Like if Bitcoin is a cash system, and if it's a global micro payment system, high volume, transparent ledger for a lot of transactions at layer one, well, then, yeah, BSV is kind of that version of Bitcoin. There's also the BTC narrative of just digital gold, store of value. Now, I believe that a store of value needs to be useful also as a medium of exchange in order to have value. But there's that narrative over there where we don't need to transact as often on BTC because it's digital gold and you just hold it and you don't really use it for anything. But then the question just enters my mind, like, what's the point? And we want secure assets and everything, but I'm trying to be fair and balanced in the respect of giving everybody their credit and providing just accessible information. And so yeah, the answer is, if you run BTC as a node, you can get peer to peer transaction exchange, subject to all of those constraints that I've just listed. And on BSV, if you use something like our wallet toolbox, if you use metanet, you get on your phone, you get the metanet Explorer app on iOS or Android. If you use, we have secure word processing applications that use blockchain and encryption. We have value exchange, where you can do micropayments. You can use peer pay to send fractions of a penny from one person to another. Different use cases. MetanetApps.com talks about a lot of them, but the point is, different networks, different philosophies for sure, different people, and different definitions for what peer to peer really is, and who peer to peer is really for. And I'll leave it there.
Yeah, Ty, I have a question though. For someone who's not technically savvy, would you yes or no question, is BTC decentralized?
Well, I think, Kate, that a lot of the people involved in BTC on a surface level are going to end up using, maybe they'll use an exchange. Maybe they will hold their keys and they back up their 12-word phrase. And in the sense of, being able to reasonably control your BTC assets on the current network, I mean, you could say that, yeah, you have custody over those assets. But in terms of, can I use this as money? Can I exchange it with my friends if I want to buy and sell things? Is Bitcoin for coffee? Can I buy coffee with Bitcoin? Well, someone can argue Lightning Network, possibly, but that's certainly much more centralized than BTC. So Lightning Network is what they say, oh, go use that for decentralized. Well, I don't know about that. I don't think so. But yeah,
They
there's
run that
massive
on
trade-offs there,
they
and
run that
probably
on
not
BTC.
to, what is it?
Lightning Network runs on BTC as an alternative.
Yeah, and
So
it's
that's not
not,
decentralized.
no. So I think that you definitely pay massive costs, and for the average person, in most cases, if I had to just answer yes or no, I would say probably not. But it definitely, I would say, if you hold BTC, in the thousands of dollars, if you hold that and you want to use that as an investment, you want to make sure that you can always own those coins. like, yeah, they've idealized the concept of ownership, and they've made it so that, yeah, you do hold your keys and you do hold those coins, but and on the other hand, what can I use them for? Can I go buy groceries? Can I exchange something directly? And how much does that cost? Without using Lightning,
That's
right?
not
Because if I have to use Lightning, then I have massive concerns about centralization and other things. But if I'm on BTC just myself, holding my BTC coins, I would have problems with um, high fees. So it's like high fees on BTC, but it is decentralized if you hold your keys, I guess. And then on the other hand, if I use Lightning, then I have concerns about centralization, even though the fees might be a little bit lower. Where BSV, I guess you don't have to make that trade off. You can have low fees and you can exchange value directly in a peer to peer way. And I think we've been able to solve that design trade-off by going back and just looking at what the original architecture was and reading the paper, the white paper, and everything like that. And I think that's the difference.
Yeah, sorry to hijack the chat here, Gavin and Casey, but just one other question, Ty. I mean, does BTC have any play any part in the future of Web3? Could it? Um, and if not, how does BSV achieve that?
Well, I don't want to touch that only because different people have different definitions for Web3, and we need to really establish, what people want to do on Web3. And I want to respect, obviously, Gavin and Casey, and I don't want to, just turn this into, a giant rabbit hole or anything. But I definitely do think that, like, BTC has, um, you know, using Lightning Network, and they do have things called Nostr, for example, and that's cool. But it does sacrifice the traceability and the decentralization aspects of well, you're not accountable for your transactions. There's not really any records on the network itself about who did what and when, and some of those transparency aspects. And that's a bit of a problem in my opinion with that approach to doing something on Web3 with like Nostr on top of Lightning. On the other hand, yeah, metanet and BSV does have some of you know we have our own ideas about that, and I've dropped one URL already, but yeah, it's different approaches, it's different people, different philosophies, different definitions, and we're gonna see who wins the technology race, right? Like that's kind of what it's about right now. It's about putting the technology to use, and it's about building things and making it easier for developers, making it easier for users to use. And if we do that, then average people won't need to be part of this discussion. Average people won't really care. They just want, when I go get in my car, I don't need to know how the engine was designed. I don't know, a lot of the things about the transmission and how these different components interact and all of that. I mainly just want to get where I'm going, and whoever the technology arms race for this is just whoever can empower the people, whoever can meet their needs, whoever can preserve their privacy and make it so that they have security for their information when they use their computer and their phone, whoever can make it so they can own their digital assets and identity, so that massive corporations can't just make the attention economy last forever and hijack all of our minds and distract our children and all of that. If whoever solves those problems that average people care about every day, that's who's going to succeed. And in my opinion, the metanet and BSV technology is, in my biased opinion, because I'm involved in pushing some of this stuff forward, right? But I think that's definitely the best approach to it. I'm open to other approaches, and I do check out things on other networks. I think we should not be as closed off and tribalistic in this space. We should be open to dialogue and discussions, and I want to lead us in that direction. Um, but yeah, I do believe that we have built some cool things. We have MetaNet Academy for developers to learn how to build apps. We have demonstrations of lots of cool concepts, and we're making that more and more accessible. And that's what I think that this technology is about. That's what I think it's good for. I don't think it's good for get rich quick, invest now, and then you'll make 100x returns overnight. I think that's a massive problem for the credibility of the technology in the eyes of average people. There's legitimate concerns and criticisms there in every direction with people just throwing all this rhetoric around. It's like, come on, guys, let's focus on why we're here and what average people care about. And if we do that, I think we'll have the best chance at empowering people and creating a narrative that's going to get people on board with what we're doing and why it's useful.
Yeah. And what about the unified? There's another theory about this great Bitcoin flipping meme that I've been running with, and that is part of it. It has to do with this what's called a unified ledger. A unified ledger, like I'm sure Babage, Ty, you studied the internet, I'm sure more than I have, and I'm wondering, like back in the early days of the internet, they had multiple versions of it, and eventually it unified under one internet, and so. Is that a theory that you think that Satoshi had back when he created Bitcoin, that we were going to unify like the internet under this Web3 blockchain, one ledger? Or
Well,
where's this? Yeah, what's your theory?
so to provide context, the classic case study on the internet and how it used to have different approaches. There was packet switched networking and there was circuit switched networking. And circuit switched networking was massively well funded by a lot of the incumbent telco operators who wanted you to use your phone line and have a circuit. And it was basically just you could use that to exchange information, voice services, data services. And the network they used back then was called X.25. And it was an alternative to the internet protocol. It was created by, these telcos and the ITU and all that stuff. And yeah, people, built some stuff with it. I think ATMs were kind of that was a massive thing, and they used that for a long time. You have ATM plug into a phone line, and it would use that type of a network to dial into banking infrastructure in order to track transactions and whatnot. Actually, ironically, um, and then the internet protocol really just it was more ubiquitous, right? You could send it over a cable, like a coaxial cable. You could send it for same as your cable television, and those were better shielded. You could send it over dial-up, so you had dial-up modems. Then there was of course other internet services that took off. It took root in the universities. We had the domain name system. Of course, we had governmental and military applications of internet through the Advanced Research Projects Agency. And so, yeah, there were a number of different approaches to it. And then eventually the network effects of, one of them did take off and did become more prevalent. And now hardly anybody really ever uses X.25. No one's ever really heard of it because, well, if Facebook used that and, Twitter used or X used, Snapchat, whatever, used another one, then I'd have to pay for two internet services in order to use these two platforms. And that would just be massively inefficient. So they did take a lot of the people and a lot of the research and a lot of the developers and the focus became optimizing the internet protocol suite and making it more widely adopted by making equipment and creating infrastructure and pioneering standards and interoperable systems to allow that to become globally distributed. And that's kind of what happened, is just whoever did the work, whoever paid attention to the engineering problems and then aligned the solutions with what people really wanted, those were the ones to ultimately succeed. And that's a recurring theme through technology. You can look at the current wars of the 1890s as another example with AC current versus DC. And the thing about DC is you couldn't transmit at long distances, and so it didn't work out for that reason. But I will say Satoshi, going back to that, and you mentioned what did Satoshi want. I don't know. I have maybe I'm in the minority on this, but I think Satoshi, looking at the writings, there's a quote, and I think he was pretty cautious to say that, this was going to take over everything. I think we can certainly make it take over everything if we want to push in that direction, or if we just want to build things that lots of people love. And that's probably how it's going to go, just looking at history. But I think Satoshi was a little bit more cautious. He said, and I quote something like, piling every proof of work quorum system onto a single network, doesn't seem like it could possibly scale. And that's one of the quotes that BTC latched onto, and they says, well, in that case, yeah, we're going to have 1,000,001 altcoins, and we're going to have all these things. Do I personally think that is a good thing? Not really. I mean, honestly, BitDNS, I think he said that in response to the development of BitDNS as a domain name system or something like that. I don't fully understand the BitDNS and whatnot, just to be completely honest with you. But I do think that Satoshi didn't have a full appreciation for the level of disruption at that time, because I don't think anybody did. That the technology was able to provide. I think we have better ideas now. Later thinkers have kind of expanded things and set in place wider visions for how we can use this, and then overlay networks on top of a base layer blockchain at layer one. Do I think there will be one coin to rule them all? I genuinely don't know. I think we will have standards that get adopted. We will have interoperability to an extent, and we'll do it in a way that serves users. And whoever does that, whether it's a single chain that can kind of expand wide enough to, subsume and just overtake everything else, or whether it's cross-chain protocols, I don't know. But I do want to push forward towards a unified base layer, just because I think it's going to be the easiest to regulate, and it's going to make it simpler for developers. It's going to reduce costs for everybody, and the applications that get built, they're going to be easier to maintain and scale, and the users aren't going to need 1,000,001 wallets, and the cryptography is going to be standardized. Some of these, they use different elliptic curve cryptography for their primary, the way they do their transactions on their network. You have,
So was
so
it you that came up, that saw the problem with the wallets? When what was it? Money Button had gone away, and then Senby had problems, and others. And so, was it you that realized there was a problem there? The first person that saw that, because it seemed like that hadn't been identified really, and it was just nobody had realized their wallets were all, I don't know, on different standards. And then you're like,
yeah.
I got to do something about this, or what's the story behind that?
Well, so Ethereum actually early on, they had a proposal called, I believe it was EIP 1193, and that was like years before any of this. And it was an idea that they would create this standard approach to wallets. The problem is, they had problems with the way they had designed their network with the account-based model. And so on Ethereum, we have high fees, we have these problems, we have gas, and it's hard to write complex contracts that operate efficiently because of the design of their network. So it's not as if I was the first one to see that even. But what I did do is I learned a lot from a lot of the people involved. And then for context, just for those that aren't aware, I was one of the authors of the BRC 100 specification, which is just a way to bring all these wallets together. Because, yeah, one of my catchphrases during the early days before BRC 100 was, the developers who are trying to build apps, and when they sit down at their computer to work on trying to create something, they have to integrate 5 wallets. And it was fragile, fragmented, and frustrating. And so people had to integrate all of these different systems and try to plug everything together. And so I studied the failings of other networks, and I studied the failings of other wallet standards, and I studied the failings of other wallets. And then, yeah, there were some massive problems. When Money Button failed, the rug got pulled out from under a lot of the applications that had plugged into that centralized, siloed, Web 2 pretending to be Web 3 system, right? And that caused a lot of people to feel demoralized about our technology, and rightfully so. And what we needed was a system that allows any wallet to work with any app in the same way that you can use any web browser or any email client to deal with any website, right? So I can go to my YouTube in Firefox. I can go to it in Google Chrome. I can go to it in mobile in Safari on my phone. That's a standard right there. That's important because not one company created all of those. And no one has to ask permission to implement and integrate those systems together. And so in the same way that no one has to ask permission to create a transaction on the BSV blockchain network, no one has to ask permission to build an app or to create a wallet and to host it. It's about an open, interoperable, vendor-neutral standard that no one company will be responsible for controlling, and creating an ecosystem and a market. And that was the solution that I came up with because of all of these problems that we've had with wallets not being interoperable, with people not being able to plug the pieces together in the right way. And what this enables, because we incorporated a lot of the learnings from other standards, is identity. We can do KYC flows. We can do different token standards, different types of assets. We can do encryption. We can do digital signatures. We can create any type of BSV transaction using the standard BRC 100. And that's what the metanet really does. The metanet combines that, overlay networks, a few other pieces, but that's the main base layer bedrock, I would say, of a lot of this, is just a way to allow everybody to interoperate.
Now, the metanet, is that a word that is what is that word? I mean, it seems like it's the
It's a
metanet.
network of networks, right? Meta net, right?
Yeah.
So network of networks.
And is it like an internet, or what is it?
Yeah, it's a new internet. It's like a really much better new internet where you get to actually be in control of all of your data and your apps and your privacy and your money and your assets, because there's a standard, right? The internet protocol is actually a standard, right? Internet Protocol version 4 or IPv4. Maybe you've heard that. IP, right? IP address. It's an internet protocol standard. And metanet is also standards, and that means we're agreeing as humans and as people, companies, app, systems, everything. We're agreeing to these set of rules and expectations for how to be interoperable in facilitation of a particular capability. That's what a protocol is. A protocol means we agree to do this thing in this particular way and subject to these particular rules so that we can get a particular capability. Whether it's the telephone protocol, I want to dial your phone number and your phone will ring 6 times and you'll be able to answer it, right? That's a protocol. Same thing with metanet. It's like, I want to live in a world where there's not a bunch of data breaches where I can create transactions, or I can sign and verify messages. And we have a standard protocol, metanet protocol, BRC 100, overlay networks. These things plug in together to form a protocol for this. And that's what metanet is, in my best definition.
Nice. Now, who came up with the metanet? Is that a Bitcoin thing, or where did that come from?
Well, so it's a thing on top of Bitcoin. I guess, BTC, they built Lightning Network on top of BTC, and then they also built like Nostr protocol on top of that stuff. And, BSV, it's kind of like that, right? We have the BRC 100 for our wallets, and then we have metanet as this kind of thing, the set of things you can do on top of that. So it's like layers, right? It's like layers of standards and layers of capability that make things easier. So, if we had to design, every single transistor on a CPU individually, and there's like billions of them, it's like you're never going to get there. So what you need to do is have an abstraction on top of that design so that you can copy and paste, so that you can think at a higher level, and then the complexity associated with the base layer is removed or abstracted away. And that's why we need layers of technology. And the metanet is one of those layers of technology that just makes it so that rather than have to understand how to be a wallet developer and an app developer and do key management and all of these really complex things that most developers don't even want to do, they can just use these abstractions in order to achieve their goals. And we don't know what the killer app of Bitcoin is, but we're going to make it 10 times faster to build it, 10 times cheaper to build it. We're going to standardize the training processes for developers to get on board on metanetacademy.com and actually build it. And that's how we're going to get there.
Let me ask you a question, and I want to open. If anybody, I see Bo's in the crowd. If anybody else wants to jump up on stage or please come up and raise your hand, and feel free to chime in. But please raise your hand so we can keep it organized. If you do, now let me ask you, Ty, as well. Maybe for your feedback, or if anybody else is a gamer, I'd like to know about your feedback on this. So there's a new app. It's called Teragun. It's built on the metanet using the metanet and BRC 100 standard. It's not out yet, but it's coming out very soon. It's going to launch. It's John Calhoun, and he came on earlier and he told us all about it. And it's a video game, and the video game I don't understand yet, but I need. He says it's going to make a lot of transactions on chain, and so my question from a gamer perspective: what makes a video game addicting that people want to keep playing it? And they want to be involved in it. Maybe like as an example, can you give me an example as a person who doesn't know anything about video games? What makes a game fun or addicting for a person who likes it to come back? You know.
Well, I want to draw a parallel here, Gavin. It's interesting you bring this up because we have MetaNet meetup every 2 weeks, and the theme on the last MetaNet meetup was actually, of all things, games and video games on the MetaNet, right? So if you go on metanetmeetup.com and just look at the past recordings, you can see the last one from just like a week or two ago, and you can watch everybody talk about what makes games on MetaNet really cool. And one of the things that came out of that discussion is people don't necessarily want to pay, like when we think about metanet and blockchain and games, the intersection there, people don't necessarily want to pay every time they play, right? Like a micro payment, right? But if you get the number one score on a leaderboard, and that leaderboard is memorialized on the blockchain, so it's like a permanent record of all this top scores and who got them at what times and all of that, right? And you can see the leaderboard, and you can see all your friends on there, and you can see yourself on there. And if you're playing this game and you get number one score, that feels really good. And then if it pops up and it says, and do you want to put this on the leaderboard, and it costs 5-10 cents, right? It's like, heck yeah, I do, because I just got the number one score. Now I can show all my friends that I'm on the blockchain with this number one score. And so the naive approach to micropayments in games is pay every time you want to start the game, and then you just feel this psychological tax. But what you really want to do is you want to let them get good at the game for free. You want to let them explore, and then once they get to a point where they're doing this with their friends, where they're getting some recognition or some value or some enjoyment out of it, and then they do get that number one score, it's like, yeah, then you pay a micropayment and you go on the blockchain. And so when developers build great games, right, it people care that they're number one. Like even hypertypist.com, which Braden built, you can go on there and have a typing contest, right? And if you get number one, well, you can put that on the leaderboard, and like people want to be number one at typing, so they do. But like obviously, if you build a game like no one cares, right? Well, then obviously you're not making as much money as the developer. But that's like one of the things that we kind of figured out is a way to align the expectations of gamers with kind of our technology and what that might mean for them. And then it also, if you can remove ads and you can make them have a much better experience, right? That certainly helps. And so by replacing that ad model with that micropayment model without creating psychological friction for them to play the game because of the micropayments, I think that's the sweet spot for metanet and gamers. Because like there's a game called Doodle Jump. Maybe people have played it like 10 plus years ago actually. And like now if you go on there and play it, like before you die, and before you even see your score, you just get an ad that pops up right in your face, and it starts playing a video, and it's the most annoying thing ever.
Well, no, and you
And
have to
so,
watch the ad to play the game.
well, you have to. It's not that you have to watch the ad to play the game. In their case, you have to watch the ad. Actually, you have to close a pop up right when you open the app, but then you have to watch an ad to see your score after you died. It's like
Well,
that's the least.
frustrating.
That's that's. I mean, I'm just going to close the app and reopen it, and then close the pop up, and then play again. And I guess I'll just never see my score now. So that kind of thing can be. We can do better. We can create better ways for devs to get paid for their hard work building the best games. When people care that they're number one and they want to memorialize that on the blockchain, even if that maybe costs 10, 15 cents or something.
Yeah.
We've learned that people are willing to pay for that more than they are anything else. And maybe that's, uh, maybe that's just something that, I'm excited for, the things that John is building. He also has Thrill.online, which is an arcade that he built. And, you know, yeah, I look forward to seeing the launch of his new stuff. And, I think it's going to be pretty good, but I'll let other people jump in
Hey,
and kind of.
Ty, before you hop off, can I ask you to do a little bit of a review of the Woo BSB plugin stuff? Because I think that'll be, a big part of the Great Bitcoin
What is
Flippening.
WooBSV?
So there's a WooCommerce. Have you heard of WooCommerce? It's like a
No.
WordPress based commerce solution for building. It's a very popular online solution for creating shops with WooCommerce. And I did look at it. I did open a GitHub issue and I know the guy who produced it. He's on
Well,
our
it looks like
Slack
he's in the
at
crowd
least.
now. He's listening.
Yeah. I opened a GitHub issue and I gave him some thoughts. I look forward to seeing. I know they have added. I'm pretty sure they have added BRC 100 integration. So I'm very happy about that. And I think it's cool to see people integrate that stuff. I think that we'll get to. I want to continue to have dialogue with the right people about peer to peer and what that means, how to do things in a scalable manner. We got to get some people off of things like the block explorer mentality, where you trust a block explorer or Electrum. Although there's Truth Machine is he's on a path with his Electrum SPV that I'm not going to shoot him down fully for that either, because it's
What
not BRC 100, but it is peer to peer in the SPV sense.
can you
So,
can you give me some
anyways.
context on what the Truth Machine perspective is on Electrum versus the Babage perspective? Can you give me
Yeah,
some
so we're getting
context
a
on
little
both
bit
sides?
into
Because
the
I've seen the argument, I don't quite understand it. So I'm trying to.
we're getting into the weeds of technical discussion with some things. And honestly, Gavin and Casey, what it boils down to is I don't know Python. I'm not a Python programmer. So I don't really contribute to the Electrum projects, and more power to the people who do. I know that like Roger Taylor and those guys, they have done some good things in the past, and we're continuing to see people pick up the Electrum torch and carry it into the new world. And um, they haven't chosen to adopt like the BRC 100 and allow all these apps to plug in, because that's a massive hurdle for them from where they've been and where they're going. Um, but uh, but so I'm not going to knock them for not doing that, given they have other things they're working on. Um, and we talked back and forth, and it's like, okay, well, we'd like you to do this or that, or I don't understand this aspect of what you're doing. But I have mad respect for anybody who is understanding SPV and who is implementing peer-to-peer flows properly. And I have a limited understanding and also a limited amount of time. My time is not unlimited. Their time is not unlimited. They probably don't fully, you know, maybe they do understand all of the BRC 100 stuff actually, but but maybe they don't have the time necessary to implement all of that immediately. Nor do I have the time to go and learn Python so that I can, contribute to their Electrum SPV thing. But and for that reason alone, we will sometimes like to just talk to each other on X about different things, and that can seem from an outside perspective like an argument. But honestly, it's just mostly friendly technical discussion and people raising points and counterpoints about things and seeing, like, I wasn't sure whether they fully had implemented an SPV first approach or whether they were relying on blockchain scanning. And I do have concerns and thoughts about maybe the economics of subscribing with an XPub key and some privacy implications there. But those are things that, a lot of the tech people will talk about. And I think this space is more of a general audience where, yeah, we can talk into the technical weeds, but I don't want to create the perception that we hate each other's guts or something, because we don't. And I think we're all on the same team with getting stuff built and with achieving the goals of BSV. And I think that Truth Machine and whoever they are. They're about hard money. They're about value, making sure that we're not forgetting the coin side of Bitcoin, because oftentimes Babbage gets accused of focusing on like the bit side of Bitcoin at the expense of the coin. But no, we're and fair point, right? Like, we did create the Vault Manager suite to focus on that more. That's maybe a little bit of a window into some of the discussions that have been ongoing, and but I'll just say I think it's good to see those people pushing for things and engaging in dialogue, and I regret that maybe um TypeScript is always going to be my programming language of choice, and they're probably always going to be better Python programmers than I am, and that's fine. It takes a village, and there's not just one way of doing everything. But I'm here to focus on growing the metanet and promoting BRC 100, because I believe that having all developers build to a common standard when it comes to the future of apps, and getting all the users on board with one type of wallet where then they can use everything. I think that's the future.
Yeah.
But, I also support the fact that there are a lot of people who have used Electrum in the past. And I want to see those people continue to engage with our network. And so, I don't want to leave them behind. I don't want them to just, lose all of their money or something because suddenly what's on chain goes down, or Electrum X can't keep up with the network, and they're doing some things there that are probably pretty necessary to keep that stuff going, and so I respect them for that.
Hopefully we can all unify onto one standard eventually. And I want to say Truth Machine has a great website. It's called that THATS, that's BTC not Bitcoin.com.
Is that Mort?
I'm not sure who he is, but it's just Truth Crypto Rebel SV.
Yeah, I thought that Mort. I'm not sure if it was Crypto Rebel or Mort who. I've seen that from Mort a few times. Maybe it is his though. I don't know. Either way, that's I'm sure some people would appreciate being pointed towards that resource.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Truth Machine. It's on his page, and so he has it on his page here. So it's a great resource. That's BTC not Bitcoin.com. Everybody can read through that. It has a lot of resources, and I actually I got a lot of respect for the guy, and I think he's an American. I really am very curious to know more about him, because I've only chatted with him, but I got to give him credit, because when I was working on the Copa case and doing stuff with that, I had actually at the very towards the end of it, I helped Craig with worked with Craig a little bit on the affidavit, the affidavit that he did, and so we talked about that, and I had shared Truth had reached out to me at that point, and he logs all the history stuff. He has a way to do that. I think it's on a Reddit post, or I'm not sure where he does it, but he has a way to log all the history stuff that's happened over time. And so he put this affidavit that I was a part of in the case and testifying in there. We put it together and I shared it with him. And so it was really cool to see his, how he operated and work with him on that. And I really have a lot of respect for him, a lot. So
Well, I don't know about any of the legal stuff, but
Yeah.
I want Craig Wright to get on GitHub.
GitHub?
Yeah, GitHub. Start pushing some code and learn, metanet stuff, like maybe some BRC 100. Maybe he could help to, I don't know, just a thought.
I was thinking about having Craig Wright as a guest. He has a lot of controversial views. A lot of people don't like him. A lot of people love him. And so, but I haven't done that yet. I don't know. What do you think, Ty?
Well, I don't know. Everybody has their opinions. It could be really good. It could be really bad. It just depends on what people should listen. People should apply a principle of meritocracy and hold everybody to the same standard. Like Craig has ideas. Everybody has ideas though. And I want to see code. I want to see someone actually deploy things and build things and implement the standards and follow the protocols and achieve success with their applications. And I don't care if you're Craig Wright. I don't care if you're anybody else. I think it should be the same standard of a principle of meritocracy on the metanet on Bitcoin. I think that's so people have to earn their stripes and their respect from a technical perspective, from a from any perspective, and that's the way that I want to see this stuff run. And anybody that's in support of that, you know, and maybe that's a radical idea, but I don't know. I hope we can get there. And if he wants to come on and talk about stuff and build stuff and whatnot, I don't know. I'd be all for it. But it's just he's just like anybody. Everybody needs to be held to the same standard, and that means being accountable for your actions as well.
There's no king in Bitcoin.
No, there never will be.
Never will.
No.
Never will be. So that's the key. No king.
We're moving forward in 2026. I'm sorry,
what do people have to look
people
forward to with Babage? I mean, Kate Mosso went up there and she says that she's got a lot of inside information that she can't tell me, and she has a lot of secrets that she can't tell me that she's not willing to share with me, and I'm really trying to get it out of her, but she says she's not allowed to disclose any of the information, and I really would appreciate if you tell me what she knows.
He won't.
No. I think that Kate is going to be a valuable asset to our team moving forward. And I think that we're going to produce some really great accessible content to bring more normies into BSV. We're going to bring average people, and we're going to let everybody understand, what the metanet's good for and how it can be used. Not just for speculation, not just to promote dogmatic beliefs, but to reinforce, a culture of meritocracy and empowerment, and to get people building stuff that really matters and that creates value. And Kate's my ally in that, so there are some things that we have planned, but I'm not going to get into that, and neither is she.
Well, very good. All right, let's wind this space down and get closing thoughts. Kate, you've really been a lot of big contributors, so why don't we go over to you and share your closing thoughts on things.
Yeah, I mean, before Ty came into the chat, we were discussing, Terry came in, we were talking about BTC, the difference between BTC and BSV, and what's a better investment, but then also what's a better long-term investment. And then we started talking about Web3. In my opinion, Web3 is the main goal. It's again, like Ty was saying, it's the bit part of Bitcoin, which will be ultimately more valuable than the cryptocurrency market cap at this point. And what I would just like to say is that, like, having observed the Project Babage team, like, there is something very accessible out there. It's already been built on BSV, and since our fees are so low, anyone can download the metanet and start using like apps on blockchain without downloading multiple wallets immediately. Also the ability of the team is just like outstanding, and how fast they're able to put out a word processor, create a social media app, create a search engine, whatever they need to do, they can do it very fast. So, I mean, I just think that simplifying that, making it even more user friendly, is going to be huge in 2026. And I mean, I don't know. I think it's already there. I don't know of any other chain that has this portal into Web3. And I don't know of any other team, not to say I know too many teams of software engineers that can make this accessible to a large group of people. So I mean that's something we have on BSV that's just invaluable. The ultimate goal being Web3, and it already being there for us after years of work getting it to this point. Now it can be user friendly, and I think we're all going to be on there, and it could be the first widely adopted Web3 platform or form of the internet. Yeah. So very excited about that, having seen it.
Let me
And
let me ask
yeah,
this. Hey Babbage, if I want to buy your company out and buy you out, would you be willing to sell it to me?
no.
Uh, what's what's the question again?
I'm
I
just
missed you.
wondering if
Sorry.
I've got a bunch of money and I've got a guy with some budget pool of investors with me right now, and I say, you know what, I really like what you're doing, but I need to take control of your company and get 51%. Would you sell it to
Oh,
me, please?
hell no, absolutely not. Sorry about that, but we're here to do a job, and until that job is done, I'm not going anywhere. If people think that my company failing would stop the metanet, they're wrong. And the reason why is because it literally says it in the title. BRC 100 is a vendor neutral, open, interoperable specification for wallet to app interactions. We have published the code openly for use freely on BSV. And yeah, that will never change. So even if the answer was yes, even if someone did corrupt, my mind and the minds of my team and those who support me, um, then we would still be fine on the metanet because people would fork the code, people would implement the specs, the apps would keep working. It's not like it was before. We're in a new world now, and so yeah, I mean, the answer is no, but you shouldn't have to trust me when I say that because every founder, whether it was Ryan Charles, I will call him out by name, or whether it was anybody else in our space who may have said no, and maybe that wasn't what ended up happening. Maybe it wasn't a no after all. Maybe Digital Currency Group through the Fabrique entity, different things. Don't trust people when they give you an answer to that question because they might end up selling out and you'll never know, right? But I have a job to do and the answer is no. And that's why I built BRC 100. But I built it so that even if we did fail, we are a resilient ecosystem. The systems are out there, the capabilities are out there, the knowledge is out there. Save copies, right? Go on X and save copies of the stuff that people have posted. Save the videos, save the code, create your own things. We need more people like Mitch from Binary Labs to create competitors in our space to provide infrastructure and services. He said he wants to be the Oracle of
Yeah.
BSV. Well,
But
more power
everybody
to him
else,
for that.
and I
You
was
know,
telling Kate about Mitch. She doesn't know who that is yet, and so he's also in her area. He's in the same area of Colorado, but Mitch is kind of like doing his thing, and he's too busy to be involved in a lot of stuff. So, but yeah, Mitch is somebody who's a big like a mover and shaker. That Babbage, how you know him?
I do.
Yeah, yeah. So Kate,
So
just keep your eye out for that Mitch.
I might
good
know
guy.
him. There's a lot of us in Colorado, actually. There's a lot of us. And we're actually like a tight knit group in real life. But yeah, I guess so. When you talk, it's like it's hard to understand you. But one question that I think could like summarize the importance of the metanet going into 2026 have you seen anything like this before where someone can just log into Web3 with one wallet and use all the different apps?
No, the closest would have been on Ethereum in the early days before the fees went up. And now it's really inviable. MetaMask isn't a real solution. So I would say this is the only solution that I'm aware of for doing this. And it's the one that I'm going to put all of my efforts behind, because at this point we have a growing ecosystem of apps and developers, and people can go check it out on getmetanet.com, and just get it set up. Go to Metanet apps once you have it, and then just join, be a part of it. Check out what we have. It's the early days, but check it out. So thank you guys for having me on. I'm going to drop off at this point, but yeah, this has been great.
Thank you. Right on, Kai. I love it. Casey, you've got your you waving, or you have your hand up.
I was just saying bye to Ty, so you can keep going around, everybody.
Yeah, I'm going to keep going around all day. I'll never stop. So, I see Ruth is in the crowd only because I really am like all about this book she wrote. And I really, I'm on the chapter 9 now about this book. And I think that, she's got really some amazing, so the whole idea about blending the AI with the blockchain is something that we've, that is not yet, well, she's the first, I think she's the first one to really put it down on paper. So everybody check it out. It's chapter 9, AI Revolution, Building Tomorrow's AI Bitcoin Revolution is what it's called. And yeah, chapter 9 is amazing. It kind of starts to break down the parts about what happened with Claude. And Claude has this new standard. Let's see if I can find it here in the book. It has this standard that's come out that they launched last year. And only the blockchain can solve this problem that they're having. So I talked to a large language model developer this week, and I met with him. I'll meet with him again, and he's already built this thing from scratch. And so I said, if you want to stand out, you need to build this, integrate it with the blockchain. And so hopefully he does that. And if so, it could be the first time it will be done. So, oh, man. Well, closing thoughts, Casey?
It's just, really fascinating to be here on the front lines of watching all this stuff get built and give people back our agency. So thank you everyone for the hard work and contributing to the spaces like this where, we really can mastermind and talk about what humanity really needs, since we're here to build that infrastructure. So
here's chapter 9. Picture your AI assistant seamlessly connecting to your calendar, your bank account, your health records, your business systems, and all through a single elegant bridge that makes artificial intelligence truly useful in your daily life. That bridge is Model Context Protocol, MCP server, lightweight software that lets AI agents interact with real-world tools in a standardized way. But here's the challenge. That bridge unlocks capability it concentrates all the risk. But here is the inspiring part. We don't have to choose between usefulness and security. By integrating Bitcoin SV, we can turn promising but vulnerable bridges into verified, transparent, and trustworthy infrastructure that's more capable than ever before. That's the beginning of chapter 9 in your book. So check it out. I think it's a really, if you're a freaking entrepreneur out there, like if you're and you want to make a lot of money, you want to be really mega rich, and you have entrepreneurial spirit and a little bit of like incentive, like the opportunity is so big. No one seems to be seeing it yet. I'm going to reach out to Sam Altman. He's in San Francisco out here. And so I'm going to go to him and talk to him about it, because I think that, if anybody.
No, don't do it. You saw what Tucker Carlson said to that guy, right?
Well, I did, but I mean, I think, we need somebody who really understands AI. It's like, why not? Maybe, why not? Why not give him an opportunity?
Yeah, no, I'm just messing with you. He's definitely an interesting character. I've got my popcorn out watching him.
I just think it's easier for me to get to him than Elon Musk. Elon Musk is going to be,
yeah.
He doesn't need anything. He's so high up. Sam Altman is kind of on his, he's struggling right now in a lot of legal problems. And I think he'd be more open to an opportunity than like an Elon Musk, so
yeah,
that's just my thinking. But Then again, my buddy Chris, and he's in South Florida. He's a large language model guy. I've known him for like since the AmeriQuest days in like 2005. And I'd like to work with him. He's a smaller guy. He's a small company though. Like he doesn't have the resources of that. So whether or not how much resources it's going to take, I think it's probably a lot. I really don't know. So we'll see how hard it is to build this into a blockchain.
Does anyone know when the anchor chain thing that
What's
Craig
anchor
mentioned?
chain?
Anchor chain that Craig mentioned he was working on. Does anyone have a timeline on?
No idea.
On that? Okay. I'll put it in the nest. It's definitely something to keep your guys' eyes on.
Huh. Great Bitcoin Flippening Series 7. I appreciate everybody. Hit the retweet if you like this video. Hit the likes, share it. Or you like this space, and I'll post a link for it and some previews on YouTube. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Gavin Mehl, if you haven't already. And thank you to Kate Masso and Babage and Craig Mason, Jay Paps. We had a BTC guy up, Terry Hoddle HQ. And of course, Casey Nicole, Game Tight. What's up, my man? You're a local guy. Good to see you here again. And I really appreciate everybody coming in. So let's do it again sometime. We'll end it there. All right, later. See you guys at the top.